स्वापदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रीमतां स्वकथा कृष्णा पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनं हृद्यन्तस्त्वभद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम् सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाद्य सर्वलौकिक दृक्प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिदन्तोतितादित्या श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वद सर्वसेवाय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुते। मद एक बंधु मद संगीन मद गुरुन् मद महाधन मन निष्ठारक मन भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते। असाधु साधु तादा इन अति नीच ताकरा हा ना मुंचा कदाचिन माम प्रेम न हृत कंतयो स्फुरः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Hare Krishna everyone. So thank you for joining. So we are in the Canto 4, chapter number 23. The chapter is titled Maharaj Prithu's Going Back Home, back to Godhead, right? And so we have come to the end of Prithu's pastimes, like the last section of Prithu's pastimes, and we actually started with Prithu's pastimes in chapter number 19, I think. Actually, chapter number is 15, right? So from chapter number 15 we started, right, all the way till chapter number 23. So 9 chapters on just on Prithu Maharaj, right? And basically we started with how Prithu Maharaj appeared. We read about his coronation. We read about how the bards, they came and started glorifying Prithu Maharaj. And Prithu Maharaj said, I have not done anything. Why are you glorifying me? And then they continued to glorify, and we read so many glories of Prithu Maharaj. And then we read about how and then we read about the point about how the citizens, they actually come to Prithu Maharaj and they actually say, oh, well, we are all hungry now. The earth is not producing enough, food grains. And then we had the entire episode of how Prithu, he actually milled the earth. Like, first of all, we read about how Prithu is chasing the earth in the form of a cow. And then, and he's like, and then the cow surrenders. And still Prithu is very angry on the cow. The earth offers like so many prayers to Prithu, but Prithu is still not. Like, it's like, why are you not producing the grains, right? And then there's so much like dialogue back and forth where the earth says, oh, well, I am the boat. If you kill me, I am holding everyone. So if you kill me, then how will all the citizens? And Prithu says, no, I can do that. You're not doing your job, hence I have the right to kill you. And then earth finally offers prayers to Prithu, and then Prithu is now pleased. And when Prithu is pleased, he accepts the earth like his own daughter, right? in his own daughter, right? And then Prithu milks the earth. The earth actually says, "Here's the solution. You milk me," right? So Prithu milks the earth, and then we read about like how when Prithu milked the earth, different personalities, different demigods, they came and they saw this as an opportunity. They said, "Oh, here is an opportunity. Prithu is milking the earth. We can milk the earth." So basically, we read about different personalities getting different objects from the earth. Right? So there's a whole list what was obtained from the earth, and it actually shows how many resources are actually obtained from the earth. And ignoring what we are getting from the earth, the current civilization is actually just trying to exploit the earth more and more and more. Right? And then we read about after Prithu got the resources, the demigods, the sages, they got things from the earth. Then Prithu, he actually started ruling, and then he planned the entire city, and then we decided to perform an Ashwamedha Yajna. And then there was a whole episode where he actually was planning to do 100 horse sacrifice, 100 Ashwamedha Yajna, but he came to 99, and then Indra got scared. He got afraid that, oh, if he performs 100, then he'll be as powerful as I am. He may even take away my position. And then Indra appears in that sacrificial arena, and then he steals the horse, right? And that means that goes back and forth, and we have the son, first the son of Prithu, Vijitsava, right? Vijitsava. He comes and he gets the horse back from Indra. But then Indra again comes, he takes the horse and then he disguises himself. And this time again, the son of Prithu goes to actually get the horse and he wants to kill Indra. But seeing him as a sannyasi, he does not kill him. And this happens back and forth. And then, and then finally, Brahma actually appears to mitigate this whole conflict, right? And it's interesting, we read about the point that how Brahma comes. Indra was at fault, but Brahma comes and talks to whom? He comes and talks to Prithu, right? And we read a lot about, like we discussed this point about like mitigation, right? It's not that, here Prithu was right, but he was in a situation where he could understand, he could accept, and hence he just was satisfied with 99 horse sacrifices, right? He said, that's it. And we discussed so many practical points here about how, he just by accepting 99, he was so close to getting 100, but just by saying 99 is good, how this actually shows the real glory of Prithu Maharaj. And it also shows practical points for our devotional service, that it is more the mood of accepting the superior authority, more the mood of humility, more the mood of understanding rather than accomplishment in our spiritual life. Right? So we discussed that, and then when this entire dialogue was over, then Prithu was satisfied. He just stopped at 99, and then Lord Vishnu, seeing that mood of Prithu, Lord Vishnu personally comes. He comes with Indra also. Indra is begging for forgiveness, and then Vishnu actually comes, and we read that beautiful, like Vishnu appears, and then Vishnu instructs Prithu Maharaj, and then there's a whole section of the instruction, right? And then the Lord's, after instructing, the Lord wanted to go, but he had so much affection for Prithu that he was bound by that affection and he could not even leave. Right? Then Prithu actually offers prayers, and that's why we actually read those beautiful prayers. Sa Uttama Shloka Mahan Chutta, right? Mahan Mukha Chutta. That how this saffron dust particles from your lotus. When pure devotees speak Hari Katha, their words are filled with these saffron dust particles from the lotus feet of the Lord. And when conditioned souls hear these words from the pure devotees, it revives their Krishna consciousness. It revives their original relationship with Krishna. This is the power of hearing. And hence Prithu is saying, oh, I just want, you have appeared here. What do I really want? I don't want the result of this 100 horse sacrifice or anything. All I want is I want millions of years so that I can always hear Harikatha. And we're at this point that so much variety of Harikatha is there. Unlimited Harikatha is there. And Prithu Maharaj is saying 2 years are not enough. I need millions of years to hear Harikatha. Right? And we also discussed that whole sweet exchange that Prithu says, oh, if I desire to serve your lotus feet, then Lakshmi should not be offended by that. She's always at your lotus feet. But if I serve, then Lakshmi, who was always, in that mood, she should not be. And that was like a very sweet exchange rather than the mood of competition there. And then Prithu ends with the point. He says, kindly bestow whatever you think is best for me. And we discuss this point that we may think that this is best for our spiritual life, but finally it comes to a point where we say, Krishna, you know what is best for me, and hence you bestow what is best for me. So that was that. And then after we read about how Prithu, after Vishnu departed, then Prithu started ruling, and then he actually instructs his citizens. And that also was a beautiful chapter where Prithu was actually instructing in the way he actually convinced the citizens, those who were devotees, great sages, and then those who were atheists, how he actually convinced them about Krishna consciousness. And that section was very, very nice, that how he's not talking that I am the king, you are my servant, therefore no. He's saying we are all in this together. If you actually perform dharma, if you perform sacrifice together, we can actually attain the highest perfection. So we discussed that whole beautiful instruction that Prithu gave to the sages, and he concludes with the point of devotional service. Yet pada seva bhiruchis tapasvin. Right, and he actually talks about service to the lotus feet of Krishna. Right? And then and then he also makes a point that yes, my rule is there, but he glorifies the positions of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Right? So that way he concluded. He told all his citizens, yes, we're going to apply all these rules. That'll be, he's ruling, but he said, like, always remember respect for the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas. And then after that we read about, then there was a whole section where Sanat Kumar, the four Kumaras arrived, and then Sanat Kumar actually Prithu praises the four Kumaras. He said, like, how is it possible that I'm getting your darshan? You yourself have come to bless me. And then there was this whole Prithu, the Kumaras, particularly Sanat Kumar, he actually answers Prithu Maharaj's questions. Right? Prithu Maharaj again asked similar questions that Sukadev Goswami asked to Parikshit Maharaj asked to Sukadeva Goswami, that what is the ultimate benefit for all of us? Right? And then we see Prithu asking the same question, and Sanat Kumar gives the answers to that question. And in that we talked of Jnana Mishra Bhakti, and then we talked of Bhakti Mishra Gyan. Right? So we discussed that, and coming to the point of pure devotional service. So that itself was a whole chapter. And then Prithu Maharaj offers his gratitude to the four Kumaras. He says, we cannot repay you for the wisdom that you have given us. Right? And then we read about the glorious rule of Prithu Maharaj, and then coming to this chapter where we came to the point of Prithu going back home, back to Godhead. Right? So, and then we read about how he, along with his wife Archie, they left everything, went to the forest, and then the austerities that Prithu performed, right? So severe austerities he performed. In the summer, he surrounded himself by 5 kinds of fire. In the winter, he submerged himself till the neck. So many austerities, but all his austerities were just for one reason: to satisfy Lord Krishna. Right? And then we read about how Prithu, he gave up his subtle body, he gave up his gross body, right? And then we came up to the point that how Archie, realizing that her husband had left, then how she followed her husband. Right? So we read about how Archie, she performed the rites for her husband, but she entered into the same fire, following her husband. Right? And then we came to the point of how when Archie was going back home, back to God, following Prithu, then how the demigods who were actually looking at this entire happenings of Prithu leaving and then Archie, what she did, they were in so much praise for Archie that they started glorifying Archie. So that is a section that we are reading. We have like maybe 2 more verses or 3 more verses in this section, and then the last is the conclusion of this entire Prithu Maharaj pastime, where we'll discuss the Phalashruti. What is the benefit that one can achieve by meditating or reading, hearing, speaking about this glories of Prithu Maharaj, these 9 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so any points that that I mentioned about Prithu Maharaj that you really liked, or any point I didn't mention about Prithu Maharaj that also that was highlight for you. Everyone, please think about it. I summarized entire like 8 chapters in just 10 minutes. So, anyone wants to share anything about these 8 chapters before we continue? Everyone, please, if you like to turn on your cameras and that we can see everyone is here. Anyone? Any points?
You like this? Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yeah, thank you so much for summarizing, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I really liked how, like, it's very interesting to know how using the yoga, he dissolved his subtle body and then the gross body. That's very interesting. I never heard that. But for the Maharaj. Yeah.
You see, we read the point about how he's using Jnana Yoga, he's using the principles of Astanga Yoga. Like, actually, bhakti itself is perfect for going back home, back to God.
And,
But he used his techniques because he was so eager to go back that he could not wait for the natural process of that. And that shows Prithu's devotion and his eagerness
eagerness, yeah.
to go back home, back to God, to be with Krishna in Vaikuntha. Right? So, yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
I like, there's so many instructions that we can learn from Prithu Maharaj, but I really love the story of how he was okay with 99 sacrifices, and to please Lord Vishnu, he was able to just let go of that attachment to, okay, being the 100th, doing all the 100, and he was able to just be happy with 99. That's a nice lesson we can learn also.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Varsana Priyamati, were you going to say something?
Yes, Prabhu. I like that. Same point like Mataji said, he ready to let go the after 99 sacrifices, and also when he got like he appointed as a king of a whole world, still he is giving credit to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, being humble.
Very nice. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Any points? Before we start. Yes.
Actually, both the Mataji stole my points. But same thing, looking at the character of Prithu Maharaj, those two really stand out on how he doesn't care about any, material appreciation, but just I want the service of lotus feet of the God.
I mean, this theme comes again and again where, even like Vishnu is right in front of the devotees, and the devotees are saying, let me always be with the devotees because that's where I can hear Hari Katha, right? I mean, that's the whole, again and again. Even Dhruva Maharaj asked for the same thing earlier in this canto. We read about Dhruva Maharaj, and finally, what was his prayer? Let me always be with your devotees. And here again, Prithu, same prayer. Let me just hear Hari Katha from your devotees. That is the highest aspiration of a devotee.
And also his humility that he does not want to accept any praises. In the beginning, right, we read about how the, I don't know what they're called, the praisers in the court.
On the bards.
Bards, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And he doesn't want to hear because have not done anything. And Prabhupada makes the point that how we have to really, when selecting even accepting anybody as Supreme Personality of Godhead, we cannot just go by anybody's words. We need to refer the Shastra, Guru, and Vaishnavas. Yeah.
That's a very nice point. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice. Okay. Anyone else? Any other points? Okay. So we'll start off. I think we stopped at 27. We read. So maybe just revise. So these are the verses that the demigods, the wives of the demigods, are praising Archie. Right. So we are in that section, and basically what they have said, they're saying, just see how Archie has served the husband. It just the way she served her husband with her mind, speech, and body is exactly, it is as glorious as how Lakshmi serves Vishnu. right? And that is how they're glorifying. And also, we discussed that how these demigods, they were looking down, on the earth planet where this was happening, and then they looked up, basically making the point that Archie has attained a destination even beyond that. She has gone higher, and these were demigods even from Brahmaloka, and they are actually looking up and saying, "Oh, see, Archie is going back to Vaikuntha," and they're thinking, "Oh, we are still here, but see what Archie has attained. She's actually surpassed all what our positions, and she's actually going back to Vaikuntha." Right? And then they actually glorify that those who have taken birth on this earth planet, they are so fortunate, because from the earth planet, in a very short time, one can attain perfection and attain the highest. One can attain the highest perfection in a very short period. And they are actually glorifying the birth on this earth planet. That the earth, so 27, we can read the translation anyway. And I'll start with 28.
In this material world, every human being has a short span of life, but those who are engaged in devotional service go back home, back to Godhead, for they are actually on the path of liberation. For such persons, there is nothing which is not available. Hare Krishna.
So in very short lifespan, compared to the demigods, compared to Brahmaloka, the lifespan here on this earth, Martyanam, is like very short. Ayusha, Lola Ayusha, it's like very flickering almost. Like for demigods, such a long time. For them, they look down on human beings, it's like almost like one moment, one life. Like it's like so far. But still in that short, if someone who's actually engaged in Naishkarmyam, this Naishkarmyam Prabhupada explained as a purport that actually refers to devotional service. If they actually engage this, then they can attain the highest perfection. They can go back home, back to the Bhagavad Padam. They can attain Bhagavad Padam, the kingdom of God. Okay, and then, so let's start with text number 28.
Savanchito bhatatmadru krichena bhuvi labdva pavargyam manushyam vishayeshu vishajate.
Vrindan Vilasamati, maybe you can read again.
Any person who engages himself within this material world in performing activities that necessitate great struggle, and who, after obtaining a human form of life, which is a chance to attain liberation from miseries, undertakes the difficult task of furtive activities, must be considered to be cheated and envious of his own self. Hare Krishna.
So now, because they are actually saying, "Oh, how glorious is this human form of life taking birth on the earth planet," and demigods' wives, they're one way desiring, "Oh, maybe we can take birth." And then after they're making a point, "Oh, but those who take birth on the earth planet, if they actually engage in what, particularly the words that are used here are Krishna." I mean, it's interesting how Sanskrit is like, even the word, like I was hearing one class, even in Shivam, that Aruha Krishnena Padam Padam Tatha Patanti Ada. Prabhupada's very frequently quoted was 10 to 32, right? That Krishnena, the speaker was explaining, just Sanskrit is so beautiful that the word Krishnena, that itself indicates something which is actually very difficult. Krishna, right? So, even after obtaining this birth on human birth on the earth planet, if someone is engaged in Krishna, very difficult activities, Mahata, all these activities for what? Vishayeshu visajate. They are engaged in all these activities just for sense gratification. Then, what is their position? Vanchita. They are actually cheating themselves. Atmadrug, they are envious of their own self. Right? They are envious of their own self. So certainly, such a person is envious of his own self. That means, so Prabhupada actually explains this. Envious of his own self, and second is, he's cheating himself. Because imagine you have like the greatest opportunity to attain perfection, but you are engaging in activities just for sense gratification, right? Labdha up, so apavargam, right? Apavargam, this, we see this word. Pavarga references material world. Pa for bhava ma, right? We have discussed this many times. Pa means parishram, right? So hard labor that leads to pain, foam coming from the mouth, that leads to bhaya, fear, right? And then finally it leads to mrityu, right? Mrityu. So pa for bha. Bha means like Prabhupada explains, like just like vyartha, like it is almost like vyartha, like you're working so hard for what? Nothing. And then there's bhaya and then mrityu, right? So that is pavarga, but here it talks of aparga. In human form of life, you can attain aparga, but if you are engaging in all these activities, then you're simply cheating yourself. So Prabhupada in the purport explains that how the karmis, they explain engage in all these very difficult activities. So many factories, so many cities. I mean, it's, you just go to any person and you ask them about their lifestyle, and they'll be like just yesterday we were talking to someone. You know, we went door to door for Bhagavatam, and the person was, he actually took the Bhagavatam side, but he was saying, you know, my life is so busy, I have no time at all. I'll take these books, but I don't know when I'll get time to read, but my life is so busy, so busy. So, you know, this is what we have made our life. We are working so hard that we don't even have time to even materially enjoy what we are working for. What to talk of making time for things which are really important, making time for a spiritual life. Right? So Prabhupada talks of karmis working so hard. Then yogis also, they perform this Astanga yoga, so many austerities. And then jnanis, they engage in philosophical speculation, you know, so that they can attain liberation. But all these kinds, finally, it is only sense gratification. I mean, only Prabhupada can make such a statement that even yogis and jnanis, all their activities is just for sense gratification. Why? Because they all desire something. Even the yogis, they are aspiring to have some mystic powers. The jnanis, they are, I want to get liberated. That's still that I concept. I will get free from all the problems. Still that I is so strong. So all this is simply sense gratification. Right? But only the devotees can actually understand. They actually say devotees are not interested in sense gratification. They are simply satisfied with the opportunity to serve Krishna. Right? Simply satisfied with the opportunity. Even a devotee just gets an opportunity to serve Krishna. That is the greatest happiness for a devotee. Devotee does not want anything else. Right? Prabhupada in the purport also quotes Bhagavatam 11:20-17, Nrideham Adyam Sulabham Sudurlabham. So this is like perfect verse for this section, because it says human form of life is Sulabham Sudurlabham. It is very rare to attain, but once we have attained this rare Sulabham, it is very easy to actually attain the highest perfection. How? Plavam, the boat. We have a perfect boat. What is a boat? This human form of life itself is a boat. And then it says Guru Karna Dharam. And who is the captain of the boat? The spiritual master is the captain of the boat, right? And then it further says, and the winds are very favorable. So imagine you're on boat, the captain is the expert spiritual master, the winds are very favorable. And what are the winds? The winds are the mercy of Krishna. The instructions of Krishna is all the favorable winds. And when you have the perfect boat, you have the perfect captain, you have the favorable winds, then in that situation, one can very easily cross over and attain the destination, going back home, back to Godhead. Right? Therefore, Prabhupada said, wasting time and life in sense gratification is the same as committing suicide. So that verse that Prabhupada is quoting, the last word is Atmaha. Atmaha means the killer of the self. We have the greatest opportunity, but we are killing ourselves. I mean, we cannot kill the spirit soul, but we are killing that opportunity of attaining perfection. Right? So that's what Prabhupada says, right? Right. And Prabhupada also says that apavargam does not refer to Sayuja Mukti. Right? Because if you attain Sayuja Mukti, there's every chance of falling down. So apavargam actually refers to entering into the planet of Krishna. Okay. And Prabhupada talks there are 5 kinds of liberations. The one of them is Sayujya, merging into Brahman. And devotees never accept that kind of liberation. But the other 4 are positive kinds of liberation. Okay, so that's the demigod saying. And then 9. Oh, that's the last word. So demigods are basically saying, they are saying, oh, they are so fortunate to take birth, but even if we take birth on the earth planet, we miss the opportunity. We are simply envious of ourselves. We are actually cheating our own self. Okay. Next verse, text 30.
Text 29, right? Mhm.
Yeah, doing that.
29. Text 29. Maitreya Uvacha Stuvatishvamarastrishu Patilokam Gatavadu Yamba Atma Vidam Duryo Vainya Prapachyutashayaha.
Hare Krishna. The great sage Maitreya continued speaking. My dear Vidura, when the wives of the denizens of heaven were thus talking amongst themselves, Queen Archi reached the planet which her husband Maharaj Prithu, the topmost self-realized soul, had attained. Hare Krishna.
So here it says that while these, here it says Amara Strishu refers to the wives of the denizens of heaven. It's interesting if you see the word Amara. Amara means no death. But actually, because the demigods' lifespans are so long, they are sometimes referred as Amara. Like we also read how the demigods have the Amrita, right? The Amrita of long life. That's because they have such a long life. So these Amara Strishu, the wives of these demigods or denizens of heaven, while they were Stuva Tishu, while they were glorifying Archi, then where did Archi go? Pati Lokam. She entered the same planet that her husband had actually attained. Right? So he had entered Vaikuntha. Similarly, Archi also attained Vaikuntha. And then he says, Prapya Achyuta Ashraya. Right? And they were under the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Achyuta Ashraya. Right? So Prabhupada actually here makes a point that, here how Archi, she actually entered into the fire. So in that way, she actually has followed her husband. Now Prabhupada very interestingly says, this is Pati Loka. One way if you see Pati Loka, she attained the same planet that her husband entered. But there is also a Pati Loka, a planet like how we have Pitra Loka, right? A planet for a forefather. There is also a Pati Loka, Prabhupada says, right? And then he says, yes, so those who are like wives who are just dedicated to service of their husband, out of that piety, they may attain this planet known as Pati Loka, which is in this material world. But Archi, she did not enter that Pati Loka. She actually followed her husband and entered Vaikuntha. Right? And then Prabhupada also says that how even in the spiritual world, that is husband and wife relationship. Like how Prithu and Archi have entered there into the Vaikuntha. That is husband and wife relationship, but there is no question of they are giving birth to children or having sex there. Because both husband and wife, though they are extremely beautiful, they are actually not attracted. They are, they are extra, and they are attracted to one another, but they do not enjoy sex life. Right? So basically, we read this in this when Brahma was describing the spiritual world. I hope you remember in the 15th chapter of the 3rd canto. He says the same thing, that how these husbands and wives, they are traveling in their airplanes in the spiritual world, but they are not interested in the slightest sense gratification. They are not interested. There is no sex relationship because both of them are together engaged in glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Prabhupada glorifies this, that even now in this material world, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in that bhajan, he says, Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu Bhajana Anukula. What does he say? He says that, which is that shloka? Anyone remembers that? Where he actually says that once I entered into my household, inside my house, and I was seeing the worship of the deities take place, and I saw the entire house turn into Vaikuntha. Right? So that's the verse that Prabhupada is quoting, and basically saying, if we are absorbed, like both husband and wife are absorbed in Krishna consciousness, they can install a deity at home, serve the deity at home, then your house becomes Vaikuntha. right? And when you're engaged in that way, even though husband and wife are living together, even in this material world, with that focus on service to Krishna, that is no, the sex urge actually is not there. And Prabhupada says this is the test of advancement of our spiritual life. Right? As soon as one becomes detached from sex life and proportionately attached to the service of the Lord, he actually experiences Vaikuntha even while living here. Right? So we become detached from sex life, proportionately we are getting attached to Krishna. Okay. So that's Maitreya actually saying that how she attained the place where her husband met. And then next 30.
Itam bhutanubhavo so pritusa bhagavatamaha kirtitam tasya charitam udama charitasya te.
Krishna. Maitreya continued, the greatest of all devotees, Maharaja Prithu, was very powerful, and his character was liberal, magnificent, and magnanimous. Thus I have described him to you as far as possible.
So how Prithu has been described here? Anubhava, very great, powerful. Bhagavad Tamaha, he is the best among the lords. Charitam Udama Charitasya, his character is very liberal, magnificent, and magnanimous. And then Kirtitam, Kirti is like glory. So I have actually described this glorious Prithu Maharaj to you. Right? So this is like the conclusion basically. Up to his 30th is the last verse here where Maitreya Rishi is saying, therefore, O Vidura, I have described about Prithu. Right? So Prabhupada in this purport, he explains the word Bhagavad Tamaha. Right? The word Bhagavad especially refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such as Bhagavan. Right? So, right. And then Prabhupada says in purport, who can be referred? Sometimes even Narad Muni is called Bhagavan. Prithu Maharaj is called, and Prithu Maharaj is Shaktavesh. But even other great sages are referred to as Bhagavan. Why? Because they are blessed with an opulence like Krishna. Right? So only those who have, Prabhupada says, one, that's a great personality who exhibits uncommon features, he can be called Bhagavan. Second, who actually attains the greatest goal of life after his disappearance, that person can be called Bhagavan. Third, a person who actually knows and lives and knows the difference between knowledge and ignorance, that person can be called Bhagavan. No ordinary person can be called Bhagavan. Right? So that's what Prabhupada says. Right? Then text 31 onwards is the Falashruti. What is the blessing of reading this pastime? Okay, let's continue.
Ya idam sumahat punyam shradaya vahita patet shravayat churnayadvapi saprito padavim iyat.
So how many of us want to attain the same destination as Prithu Maharaj? Anyone here interested to attain the same destination as Prithu Maharaj? So here is the blessing here.
Hare Krishna. Any person who describes the great characteristics of King Prithu with faith and determination, whether he reads or hears of them himself or helps others to hear of them, is certain to attain the very planet which Maharaj Prithu attained. In other words, such a person also returns home to the Vaikuntha planets, back to Godhead.
So nice. So, I mean, just see how powerful Srimad Bhagavatam is. Just one pastime, like we go through Srimad Bhagavatam, what are we giving people? One pastime, if you just read, and 2 points have made, right? Shraddhaya and Avahita. You have to read with great faith and you have to read with great attention. So anyone who reads, and then here it says Patet, read, Shravayet, who explains, Shunayat, who hears. So you hear, you read it, you hear it, you explain it. But if you do it with great faith and great attention, then that person, api, certainly, padavim iyat, he will attain the same situation as Prithu. Just one pastime from the Srimad Bhagavatam, one can attain Vaikuntha just by reading, hearing, explaining with great faith and great attention. Right? So Prabhupada here in his purport, he actually very nicely he says that one way Prithu Maharaj is, yes, he's Shaktavesh, but he's also a great devotee of the Lord. So here Prabhupada focuses that, the point of Prithu as being a great devotee. And he says, yes, he says, Bhagavatam, the whole point is Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. But even a Vaishnava, a devotee of the Lord, you can do Shravanam Kirtanam of a Vishnu Bhakta. Right? And Prabhupada proves that point by quoting how Lord Shiva, he speaks to Parvati and he says, Aradnam Sarvesham Vishnu Aradnam Param. Of all kinds of worship, worship of Vishnu is the highest. Shiva is saying Parvati. But further he says, Vishnu, Tasmad Parataram Devi Tadiyanam Samacharam. But better than that is the worship of a devotee of Vishnu. Right? So when we are reading about the glories of Bhagavatam, if you see, is so beautiful, the focus is more on the devotee rather than Vishnu. In other Puran, other scriptures, the focus is Vishnu, like how they say, like Narsimha, the glories of Lord Narsimha. Is there in other Puranas also? But in other Puranas, the emphasis is from Narsimha's point of view. Bhagavatam, the emphasis is from Prahlad Maharaj's point of view. Right? So, and here Prabhupada is saying, actually to read about the devotee of Vishnu is as good as hearing and chanting about Vishnu. And further Prabhupada said, actually it is better, even more powerful to actually glorify the devotees of the Lord. Right? And then Prabhupada said, actually Vishnu and Vaishnava, they are one way Advaya Gyan, not different, right? Because they are both on the transcendental spiritual plane, right? And Prabhupada quotes, Shakshat Dharitena Samastasha. All the Shastras are just telling one point. Ukta Satha Bhavaye Vasadve. Kintu Prabhuya Priya Eva Tasya, that the spiritual master is the most confidential servitor of Krishna. Daksha Shaksha Dhari, he is actually, should be worshipped as good as Hari. As good as Hari. And and then Prabhupada also quotes this incident in Chaitanya Charitamrita, how once Mahaprabhu as a teacher, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a teacher, was his students saw that he was chanting the name Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. Right? And when Mahaprabhu was chanting this, the student came and said, why are you chanting Gopi? You should chant Krishna. And Mahaprabhu in that mood got so angry, he took a stick and started chasing the student to actually beat him. And then student went back to other students, he escaped somehow, and he said, see Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit is actually coming to beat me, and he's chanting the name of Gopi. Which Shastra says that one can chant the name of the Gopis? He should be chanting Krishna's name. What is he doing? Right? And then based on this point, this is when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to Nityananda Prabhu and says, like, I actually came to deliver all these people, but by them committing offenses against me, they are actually just going away. So what I have come to, it is the opposite that is actually happening. Therefore, I should take sannyas. So this was the point, turning point, where Mahaprabhu actually decided to take sannyas, right? Because he said, as a sannyasi, everyone will respect me. And by offering obeisances to me, they will get the highest gift for which I have come down. Right? Then Prabhupada also quotes, in another Purana, it actually says that worship of the devotees of Krishna is actually better than worship of Krishna. Right? So that's what Prabhupada is saying. Okay.
Prabhuji, quick question.
Yeah.
So, of the gopis, Srimati Radharani, right, topmost devotee. So, if we see, any sampradaya who are just chanting the name of Radha, is that still bona fide sampradaya or it's apasampradaya? Because I heard both.
Yeah. See, the main point is which name of Krishna are we chanting, or which name of the devotees we are chanting. It has to come from a guru who is in a bona fide line. I mean, like, you go to Vrindavan, they say, Radhe, Radhe. I mean, yes, they can chant Radhe, Radhe, but who is their guru? Under whose direction are they actually chanting the name of Radha? And is that guru in a bona fide line? That's the main question. Maybe the followers of Ramacharya, they may chant Om Namo Narayana. I mean, they are chanting that, but that is what the mantra their guru has given, who is in a bona fide line coming down from Krishna himself. So more important is their connection with an authorized guru, you know, and that's the main point, you know. So yeah, is that okay,
Yeah.
Mati? So you know, so our they may be chanting Radhe Radhe, and just on this point you may say, oh, that's better than chanting Krishna, hence I will chant
Mhm.
Radhe Radhe. No, but it depends on who's your connection. What your guru asks you to do, that is the highest thing for you. And the guru has to be, you know, bona fide. And particularly, you know, chanting the name of Radha, like, for, you know, like we cannot understand Srimati Radharani without Mahaprabhu's mercy. And, you know, and so our access to Srimati Radharani is through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so to actually follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that means to follow the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. You know. So then we come down to like, okay, what does it mean to follow the six Goswamis? Then we follow the books given by them. Read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, right? Follow Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So that's actually the only way we can actually have access to Srimati Radharani. That the famous words with many of our, you know, Guru Vargas quote, Yatha Yatha Gaura Padaravinde. As our attachment to Mahaprabhu increases, to that extent, the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani will be revealed to us. There is no other way to attain the mercy of of Srimati Radharani, not by just chanting Radhe Radhe. You know, so for us in Kali Yuga, our way is through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and to follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu means to follow the six Goswamis of Vrindavan. So then we have to come down and say, okay, follow Upadeshamrita. What is the first instruction? Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jiva Vegam. You can chant Radhe Radhe, but if you're not following these acharyas, then what is your, you know, meaning of chanting? Like, you know, I mean, anyway, we won't say anything about Brajvasis, but you know, they are special. But you know, we have other people who chant Radhe Radhe, but on the other side, they are just doing so much, you know, sense gratification activities. So what is their use of chanting? You know? So yes.
Wonderful explanation, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Clarified so many things in my head.
Thank you. Okay, anything else? Okay, so let's continue. So yeah, so 32. So first, Fal Shruti is what? Just by hearing, explaining, reading with two criteria there. Full faith, with great faith and great attention. If you have done it, you will attain Vaikuntha. You will attain it. Do we all have faith on this? This is there in Bhagavatam. How can we not have faith on this instruction? We have done it with great faith, with great attention. Yes. Entrance. The Vaikuntha is open for us. 32.
But Prabhuji, he went to Vaikuntha, but for us, the Dhama Vrindavanam is our goal, right, Prabhu?
Yeah, that is true. Now we are, you know, we are in the fourth canto. So, you know, we are preparing ourselves to enter the 10th canto. You know.
Right.
So, yes. And one way, like, you know, one way when we say Vaikuntha, Vaikuntha includes Goloka. Right? So, which planet in Vaikuntha, that depends on what is our, you know, our Ishtadev. You know, I mean, even in our ISKCON society, maybe some of them will go to Vaikuntha. I mean, it depends on your mode of worship, right? So, yeah. So, yes. Okay. 32. I mean, you know, like Prabhupada, like many times he says, like, yes, and we'll go back to Vaikuntha. You know, that's like Vaikuntha includes everything, right? So, 32.
Vamsi Gopaprabhu, you want to say something?
Yes, Mataji. Like the worship of the devotee, like Lord Shiva, like some people worship Lord Shiva is a devotee, the topmost. Like how do we do we understand that point, project? Like
Yeah. So, if they are in the, I mean, we worship Lord Shiva, right, as Gopeshwar Mahadev, right? But with the right understanding.
mm,
With the right understanding. So, if someone is worshipping Shiva as the Supreme Personality of God, then you know, you don't have the right understanding. But if you're approaching Shiva in the mood of, oh, Lord Shiva is Vaishnavam Yatha Shambhu. He's such a great Vaishnava that, see, he's actually taken the position of a Gopi in Vrindavan, Gopeshwar Mahadev. If you're approaching Lord Shiva in that mood, then certainly you can worship him. Right? We worship Tulsi Maharani. Right? Devotee of Krishna. We worship our Guru, Jai Prabhupada. Right? So we are actually already worshipping. And even when we are worshipping the deities, how do we worship? We actually worship our Guru first. Deity worship starts with worshipping our Guru, offering a flower to our Guru and saying, Guru Maharaj, I am assisting you in your worship of Krishna. We always go through devotee. But again, it has to be in the right line. It has to be in the right parampara. Right? So,
Thank you so much.
okay, 32.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much to say about this point. One may say, see, where can we get bhakti from? From Krishna or a devotee of Krishna? Krishna will not easily give bhakti.
Devotee.
So we approach the devotee, worship the devotees, and then the devotees will give us Krishna. Right? Krishna say Tomar, Krishna dite paro, Tomara Shakti ache. You have the power to give Krishna. Therefore, I'm just running after you and saying, oh Guru Maharaj, please give me Krishna, please give me Krishna. Right? We are worshipping our Guru in that way. 32.
Brahmano Brahmavarchasvi Rajanyo Jagati Patihi Vaishyapatan Vidpati Syach Chudra Satamatam Iyat.
Hare Krishna, 423:32. If one hears of the characteristics of Prithu Maharaj and is a Brahmana, he becomes perfectly qualified with Brahminical powers. If he is a Kshatriya, he becomes a king of the world. If he is a Vaishya, he becomes a master of other Vaishyas and many animals. And if he is a Shudra, he becomes the topmost devotee. Hare Krishna.
So here is saying that what is the another Falshruti? So it is interesting how Bhagavatam gives a Falshruti in different levels. First Falshruti was attain Vaikuntha. But there may be some people who are like, yeah, Vaikuntha is good, but right now I want to attain something. For them also Bhagavatam is saying, okay, if you're a Brahmana, do you want to attain the Brahma Tejas? You want to attain the Brahminical power? Okay, read Prithu Maharaj's pastime. If you are a Kshatriya, do you want to become Jagatpati, the best of all Kshatriya? Read Prithu Maharaj's pastime. If you are a Vaishya, do you want to become, here it says, Vidpatihi, the master of many animals? Right? That's a Vaishya's business, right? So if your business becomes more successful, in other words, yes, read Prithu Maharaj. Shudra, then a Shudra can become Satama Tama. He can become the best of all devotees by studying Prithu Maharaj's pastime. Right? So Prabhupada in the purport is actually saying, this is the power of hearing and chanting Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone, whoever we are, and then Prabhupada quotes, Akama sarvakama va moksha kama udaridi. Whether you are no desires, you are already pure, like a devotee. Then if you are full of desires, like a materialist, or moksha kama, if you are like a jnani, whatever is a position, you should actually tivrena bhakti yogena. Right? You should engage in hearing and chanting our Krishna. It is so powerful that in any field of life one can attain the highest perfection. Right? And then Prabhupada also makes the point that how Brahmanas, it's not just Brahmana by birth, you should have the Brahma Tejas. If you are a Brahmana and you do not have the powers of a Brahmana, what kind of Brahmana? If you are a Kshatriya, then you should have the power to rule the world. Otherwise, what kind of Kshatriya? If you are Vaishya and if you do not have any animals, what kind of Vaishya are you? And if you're Shudra, then imagine the Shudra can become greater than Brahmana simply by hearing this pastime. Okay, so the next blessing. So again, this is all Falshruti, the blessing of reading Prithu Maharaj pastime. Next verse, 33.
Rikritva idam akarnya naro narya tadavavritta apraja suprajatamo nirdhano dhanavatamaha. Pratana Mataji. Well, I think
It does not matter whether one is a man or a woman. Anyone who with great respect hears this narration of Maharaj Prithu will become a parent of many children without children and will become the richest if without me.
So another blessing here, it says, but it says 3. 3 means thrice. I was hearing one devotee say, like, you have not really read Bhagavatam unless you have read it 3 times. So here you have that reference of 3 times. It says, anyone who thrice kritavaha, repeating it repeatedly hears Prithu Maharaj pastime. 3 times Akanya hearing. Then whether it's a man or a woman, Nar or Nari, then, and how again the point is made, Adrita. Adrita means great respect. With great respect, with great attention, we actually read this pastime. And then the benefit is one who is a praja, who does not have children, supraja tamaha, he can get tamaha, the best of all children. He can get the best of all children just by reading this pastime. Right? And then further it says, nirdhana. Anyone here has financial problems? Nirdhana. It says then you can be what? Dhana with tamaha. You can become the most richest person just by reading this pastime. Anyone here wants to become the most richest person? 3 times you can read Prithu Maharaj pastime. Imagine like when you go to distribute Bhagavatam, and people are not, looking for Vaikuntha, but you say, you should turn to this person and say, see, by reading this, you'll become the most rich person. If you don't have children, you get children. If you're a Vaishya, you'll be blessed with this. If you're a Brahmana, you can be blessed. I mean, why Bhagavatam is giving material benefits? Anyone wants to say? Why Bhagavatam is giving all these material benefits? And Prabhupada in this purport also says that how in the second canto, in the second canto we read about this, right? In the second canto, 3rd chapter, right? Where it says you worship this demigod to get this material opulence, right? So here it's making the point that one should just worship Krishna. But why Bhagavatam is giving all these material blessings? I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I was thinking it goes back to the verse you just quoted of Kama Sarva Kama, right? So if people who are reading Bhagavatam has some desires, and those will also be fulfilled first, and then he makes us desireless and only desire Krishna's. So just sweet.
Yes. So by this, those who are not pure in their desires, yes, they will get attracted to this, but by getting attracted and reading this, they'll get purified of their desires. And that is whole Krishna's plan. Krishna wants us to get purified of all our material desires, but through Shravanam Kirtanam of Krishna Katha. Right? So that way, Bhagavatam is opening the door and saying, okay, whatever is your position, you have material desires, come. You don't have a child, come. You want to become the richest person, come, read. Okay. 34.
Aspashta kirti suyasha murko bhavati panditaha idam swastyayanam pumsam amangalya nivaranam.
Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Also, one who hears this narration 3 times will become very reputable if he is not recognized in society, and he will become a great scholar if he is illiterate. In other words, hearing of the narrations of Prithu Maharaj is so auspicious that it drives away all bad luck. Hare Krishna.
So further is aspasta kirti, right? Suyasha. So a person who here basically says who is not so much recognized in the society, all of a sudden by reading this he will become suyashaha, he'll become very famous. Then anyone here is murkha? I can raise my hand. So just by reading this pastime, a murkha will become what? A panditaha, a learned person. Right? And then swasti ayanam pumsam. Just by reading, all auspiciousness will come. And then amangalya nivaranam, or it will remove away all inauspiciousness. Right? So Prabhupada in the purport talks about how everyone in this material world wants what? Profit, adoration, reputation. Everyone wants that, so everyone should get a Srimad Bhagavatam set. They want it and Bhagavatam is giving, so give them Srimad Bhagavatam set. Right? So even if someone is not recognized, he can become famous just by taking up this hearing and chanting. Right? And the world is full of dangers, but just by reading, all our kinds of bad luck will be taken away, and good fortune will come. Yeah. Ravindra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, sorry, I got distracted for some time. So, what was your response about why Bhagavatam is promising this as Falashruti, and what should be the devotees' approach towards this Falashrutis?
Yeah. So the main point is Bhagavatam is attracting every kind of people. Like Sri Radhimati was referring how Prabhupada says, Akama sarva kama va moksha. Whatever is the situation, come read Bhagavatam. So this will attract a larger. If you say Bhagavatam is like how Bhagavatam starts off with the condition that one should be free from envy. That's the person. Then you'll be like, oh, I'm not, how can I study Bhagavatam? But here, Bhagavatam is opening the door. Say, everyone, you have desires? Come, you'll get. Like, so somehow or other, Krishna is attracting everyone to Bhagavatam. So by studying Bhagavatam, but that is Krishna is, one way, how do you say, is a great cheater, in the sense that he will actually attract us by this, but at the same time, by reading, he'll purify our heart. Right, so that's the main point. So that's Krishna's intention. Okay, you read, and then by reading, you'll read about Prithu Maharaj, and you'll be like, oh, Prithu Maharaj is such a great devotee. And then what is Prithu Maharaj's aspiration? Millions of years, I just want to hear the. And then by hearing, our desires will get purified. And then we'll read about Indra has all these material opposites. Prithu is greater than Indra. Who do I want to become? Should I stick on to the material desires Indra has, or should I turn to Prithu? And then that way, our desires will get purified. So that's the point. And yeah, that's the main point, basically, here. And for us, how devotees, how do we see all this? I mean, we actually see one way, we can see how Krishna is so merciful. That he loves even if you have so many material desires, Krishna still loves you. Krishna still cares for you. Otherwise, why in Bhagavatam is actually giving all these? He's making room for everyone. And that should be, when we read that, we should actually follow in Krishna's footsteps and say, yes, if Krishna wants everyone to access, if I become an instrument to give Krishna to others, then how Krishna will be so pleased. I will be an instrument in Krishna's desire to give this mercy to everyone. So one way you can take that.
Yeah, so Prabhu, like my point was suppose a devotee has unless he is free from all desires, if a devotee has a desire, it was mentioned previously, someone who has who wants children, or someone who wants money, suppose the devotee couple wants children, and so can this section be recommended such devotees?
Sure.
Yeah.
Like how we see about Karda Muni, right?
Yeah.
How he was actually he worshipped the Lord and then said, I want a wife. I want a good wife. So yes, being honest, okay, a couple, they want children, then study this. Instead of doing all those demigod worship to do, you study Prithu Maharaj. And even that intention, that desire may not be against Krishna consciousness, right? So that's the point. If someone is studying and oh, I want to become a rich millionaire so that I can enjoy. For him also, he can study this pastime, but by studying, that will get purified.
Yeah.
So again, the point is it has to be read with great attention and with great respect.
Thank you, bro.
Okay, so let's continue. Next verse, 35.
Danyam yashasyam ayushyam svargyam kalimalapaham dharmartha kama mokshanam samyak siddhim abhishupihi shradayai tad anushravyam chaturnam karanam param.
By hearing the narration of Prithu Maharaj, one can become great, increase his duration of life, gain promotion to the heavenly planets, and counteract the contaminations of this age of Kali. In addition, one can promote the causes of religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Therefore, from all sides, it is advisable for a materialistic person who is interested in such things to read and hear the narrations of the life and character of Prithu Maharaj.
So further, a whole list of blessings are there. Dhanyam, it will give source of riches. Yashasham, you will get reputation, Ayusham, long life, Swargam, elevation to heavenly planets, Kali Mala Apaham, it will decrease the contamination of this age of Kali Yuga, Dharma Artha Kam Moksha Samyak Siddhim, you will attain the perfection of Dharma Artha Kam Moksha, Abhipsubhi, so those who are desiring this and they are turning, they will attain all this. Shraddhaya, one should read with great faith. So how many times again and again, with great faith, with great attention, with great respect, one should read this Shastra. Right? And Prabhupada in purport says, by reading and hearing Prithu Maharaj, one naturally becomes a devotee. And as soon as one becomes a devotee, material desires fulfilled. So Prabhupada is like, following Krishna's mood. That yes, you come with material desires, but as soon as you read, you'll be like, oh yeah, my desires are fulfilled. Why? Because I no longer have those desires. And again, Prabhupada quotes, Akama sarva kama va moksha. This is Krishna's mood for all of us. Whatever is the situation, just worship. Tivrena bhakti yogena. Right? Also, Prabhupada here makes the point that when we talk of Krishna, that includes Krishna's devotees. Here is reflecting life and character of Prithu Maharaj. So we are reading Prithu Maharaj not only as Shaktavesh, but as a pure devotee of Krishna. The more emphasis is on his devotion to Krishna rather than him being a Shaktavesh. Right? So here Prabhupada says, when we speak of Krishna, we refer to a devotee also. He is never alone. 36.
Vijaya bhimuko raja shrutvaitad abhiyatiyan balim tasmai harantyagre rajana pritaveyata.
If a king who is desirous of attaining victory and ruling power chants the narration of Prithu Maharaj 3 times before going forth on his chariot, all subordinate kings will automatically render all kinds of taxes unto him, as they render them unto Maharaj Prithu, simply upon his order.
So here it says next blessing is Vijaya Abhimukha. So a king who is about to start on a victory, going to fight a war to get victorious, Shrutva. And again it says 3 times. 3 times if he hears this, then Agre Rajan. Then all the other kings he's going to fight with, they will actually surrender unto him and will offer taxes to him. As it was done for Prithu Maharaj. Yatha, as Prithu Maharaj. So similarly one will get the same blessing. And Prabhupada in the purport says, for a Kshatriya king, it is natural that he wants to have a bigger kingdom, subordination of the other kings. It is very natural, right? And for them, it is recommended, study Prithu Maharaj's pastime 3 times, right? And then Prabhupada says how Prithu, Yudhishthir, they were sole emperors of the world. And sometimes the smaller kings used to rebel, right? Therefore, it was necessary for these kings to go and defeat them. Right? For them, it is recommended, study Prithu Maharaj's pastimes. 37.
Muktanya sango bhagavati amalam bhaktim udvahan vainyasya charitam punyam shinuyach travayach patet.
Hare Krishna. A pure devotee who is executing the different processes of devotional service may be situated in the transcendental position, being completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness, but even he, while discharging devotional service, must hear, read, and induce others to hear about the character and life of Prithu Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
So basically here is coming the point, Mukta Anya Sangha. So one who is freed of all Anya Sangha, material contamination, Amalam Bhaktim Bhagavati, and engage in devotional service. For that, the word is used Shrunuyat. Shrunuyat means must hear. So for devotees, it is saying we must hear this pastime. And then it says Shravayet. He must induce others to hear. That means like give Bhagavatam to others and induce them to hear about this pastime. Pate, and go on reading. So we must hear, read, induce others to read. Vainyasya Charitam Punyam, this pious character of Prithu Maharaj. Right? Okay. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying when one hears with faith, one actually can possess Shuddha Bhakti. So this is a blessing for us. Because by reading Prithu Maharaj, then we can develop the same desires that Prithu Maharaj has. And what is the desire Prithu Maharaj has? Just to always be absorbed in Hari Katha. Millions of years like how Rupa Goswami said, Tunde Tandavani, right? He actually says, oh, when I hear Hare Krishna, I desire so much nectar that I want millions of years, I want thousands of tongues, my heart dances in ecstasy. One can get that desire just by reading. So this is basically for devotees, how we should read. And here it says we must read about Prithu Maharaj. We must induce others to read. Okay, next 38.
Vaichitraviryaabhitamam Vaichitraviryaabhihitam Mahan Mahatmya Shuchakam Asmin Kritam Ati Martyam Partavim Gatim Apnuyat.
A pure devotee is executing the different process of devotional service, may be situated in the transcendental position, being completely.
38.
Oh, next one here. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, I have as far as possible spoken the narrations about Prithu Maharaj, which enrich one's devotional attitude. Whoever takes advantage of these benefits also goes back home, back to Godhead, like Maharaj Prithu.
So interesting, he's saying Vaichitra Virya. Who is Vichitra Virya? Everyone remembers Mahabharata story? So he's referring to Vidura as, O son of Vaichitra Virya. It's interesting. Actually, it was, Vichitra Virya, he actually left. And then it was Vyasadeva who actually came, and then, but here he's still referred to because it's like one generation higher was Vichitra Virya, right? So his Vidura said, "Oh, son of Vichitra Virya," right? And then I have explained Vihvitam, Maitreya Rishi is saying, Mahad, this great Mahatmya, greatness, and just by I have explained about this great king, and then he says, Ati Martyam Kritam, how he performed uncommon activities. I have explained this, right? And then the particular Sanskrit word is used is Suchakam. Suchakam, where it actually says, by hearing what happens, it awakens bhakti in our heart. And this goes back to the first canto, 7th chapter, where we actually said, Yasyam vai shruyamananam Krishne paramushe bhakti utpadade pumsha. That by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, bhakti awakens our heart. That same point is actually said here. By hearing about Prithu Maharaj, Suchakam, awakening of bhakti will happen in our core of our heart. So we are not just doing Bhakti Vaibhav, we are actually just by reading, hearing Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavatam, we are awakening our devotional service in the core of our heart. Right? This is the real benediction that we are all aspiring for. Right? And Prabhupada here also says, like how previous verse says, one should induce others to read. And Prabhupada says, this is the mood of Mahaprabhu. Yare dekha tare kaha Krishna Udesh. Wherever you go, you meet, you talk about the glories of Prithu Maharaj. You talk about Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the mood of Mahaprabhu. We need to share Krishna consciousness with others. And then also Prabhupada says one should not make distinction between the pastimes of the Lord and the pastimes of the devotees of the Lord. Because both of them are the transcendental. And we already discussed this point earlier, how pastimes of devotees of the Lord, one way, is actually even more glorious than the pastimes, or even more powerful than the pastimes of Krishna himself. Okay, 39 is the last verse. Yes, last verse.
Anudinam idam adarena shinvan Prithu charitam pratayan vimukta sangha Bhagavati bhava sindhu potapade Sacha nipunam labate ratimanyushyaha.
Whoever, with great reverence and adoration, regularly reads, chants, and describes the history of Maharaja Prithu's activities will certainly increase unflinching faith and attraction for the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord's lotus feet are the boat by which one can cross the ocean of nescience. Hare Krishna.
So here, this is a final blessing here. Anudinam. How many times should we read? day after day after day. Every day we should meditate on Prithu Maharaj's pastime, Adharana, with great respect. And again it says, Shunman, hearing, Pratayan, chanting. So we should hear, we should speak this pastime. Labate Rati. Anyone here wants Rati? Atha Shraddha, Sadhasanka, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta, Ruchi. Right? So we are going in the higher stages of devotion. So Rati, that attachment, right? Or Ashakti is attachment. So Rati, one will get unflinching faith and attraction to Pade, to the lotus feet of the Lord. And then here it says Pota, Bhava Sindhu. And those lotus feet, once one gets attraction and unflinching faith to the lotus feet of the Lord, then those lotus feet become like a boat that will carry us across this Bhava Sindhu, this cross over this ocean of nations. Right? So Prabhupada in Purport actually makes a very nice point. He says, the lotus feet of the Lord is the total source of material existence. So what we say as Bhava Sindhu, that ocean of material existence, is coming from the lotus feet of the Lord. Right? So one who's attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, one way, because the lotus feet is the source of this Bhava Sindhu, you're attached, then you need not even cross that material ocean. Why? Because the ocean is actually in the lotus feet, and if you have taken shelter of the lotus feet, there is no need to cross that ocean. You are already under the shelter of Krishna. This great ocean of nations is minimized by a person who is a pure devotee. So just by reading about Prithu Maharaj, this great ocean which seems unconquerable, it seems like, how can I conquer this entire ocean of material existence? You can easily conquer by studying Prithu Maharaj's pastime. Prabhupada says this word Vimukta Sangha is also very important in the sense that Vimukta, right? We become free, but free from what? The three modes of material nature. In this material world is full of dangers, but we engage in Shravanam, Kirtanam, we become free from all these Vimukta Sangha. We become free from all these dangers, we become liberated. Okay, so that completes Prithu Maharaj's pastimes and chapter number 23. Okay, so let's see if anyone has any comments, any thoughts, any realizations, questions, anything.
Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I like the point you said that Krishna has rooms for everyone. He loves everyone, and that's why he's attracting everyone.
Krishna loves each one, every living entity, even though they may not turn to Krishna, but Krishna is loving everyone. Yes. Anyone else? Any points? Any thoughts?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I was just thinking that Bhagavatam is a Krishna, right? If you approach with gain, then you get a false shruti. But if you taking it as a devotional service, then it doesn't give any result, right?
Yes, like the verse Ye Yathamam Prapadante Tam Tadaiva Bhajamyo. As you approach Krishna, reciprocate. Krishna reciprocates to that extent. Very nice word. So if you're approaching Bhagavatam for material benedictions, yes, Bhagavatam will give you that, but at the same time it will actually purify those desires. But yes, it is like a desire tree. Whatever you want, Bhagavatam will provide for you. Thank you. Nice one.
Prabhuji, you quoted a verse from CC, I think, Yatha Yatha Gora. Can you say it again?
That is Chaitanya Chandramrita, not Chaitanya Charitamrita. It is text number 88 of Chaitanya Chandramrita. Any other points, anyone? From Prithu Maharaj or Falshruti or anything from any?
Was it like the great faith and attention? How do we better understand? Like like whatever it says is we have to take it as truth. Is that the faith?
So what does it mean to study with great attention is okay, right? So attention means without any distraction, completely absorbed in the reading, great attention, right? So what does it mean by great faith? So see, one way we may read, like we are reading a Falshruti now, and says if anyone who reads will attain Vaikuntha. Do we have faith that if I really study this with great, I can attain Vaikuntha? So we have a doubt, like, oh, I am so sinful. How can I attain? I'm reading, but we don't have that complete faith. If we have that complete faith, we'll be like, yes, Bhagavatam is saying I'm completely absorbed in my hearing. It will happen. Right? So having that complete faith in Srimad Bhagavatam, that what we are reading, this is Bhagavatam is making a point, it will happen. But I have to give my full heart here. Right? Full heart here. So yeah, great attention is like full absorption in hearing and without any distractions, right? Great faith is having that Shraddha, that what Bhagavatam is saying, that is perfect, right? And then did we read one more quality? Great attention, great faith, and great respect. Right? Great respect, Adarena, great respect. Right? So yes, these are the three qualities that are mentioned here. Does anyone want to add anything about how can we read with great faith and great respect? Anyone? I mean, this is a more general point.
Well, I also think that along with Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada gives so much guarantee that if you do this, you can see Krishna face to face. So even coming from the mouth of pure devotee of Krishna, we have to have that faith too. It's even more powerful than Srila Prabhupada says.
Yeah, that's true. And without Prabhupada, we would not understand, we cannot really appreciate Bhagavatam, right? What would we understand? Yeah. Nice. Anything else? Like one more point that's coming to my mind is one can say that to read with great faith and great respect means, like, the 5 points that we say, where we say it is Shravanam, Mananam, right? That means like after reading, we are actually meditating on it. If something is really important to us, you'll be like, okay, what did I read? You'll go back to it. Mananam. Then it is what? Nidhi Dhyasanam. Then you say, okay, I read Prithu Maharaj, how can I practically apply that into day-to-day life? Right? So Shravanam, Mananam, Nidhi Dhyasanam. Then you actually speak it. Because you are touched by the instructions, you are practically apply. You will see how it is transforming your life. Then you go, you actually repeat this pastime. You tell others, oh, I read this about Prithu, it was so good. This point is so good. Leadership qualities from Prithu. You can go and talk to everyone about that. Right? And you actually repeat. Right? So one way you can say great attention and great faith means to follow this process, starting with Shravanam, Mananam, Nidhi Dhyasanam, etc. Right? So that's another point. Okay. Anyone else? Any points? One more point I can think. I'm just thinking of different points. So one more point I can think is not to just read this pastime just like an information. Many times we are like, oh, why are you saying Bhagavatam? Well, Bhakti Vaibhav, I have to give my exam. If you are studying with that, then you're missing the point. But, we are reading with not just like an information, but rather than a mode of transformation. That this has a power to transform my consciousness. So reading with that mood. Right? So all these points, this is a vast subject, but a few points I'm just saying. Okay, so everyone ready? Should we just take a quick break? It's 8:30 and then we'll start the next chapter. Next chapter is chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva, or other words, Rudra Gita. Right? So that's a very nice chapter. So now we are continuing further after Pracheta. After Prithu. Because Prithu has already gone back home, back to Godhead. Who is in the lineage after that? Right? So that's what we are going to read in the next chapter. And this is also a very beautiful chapter of Rudra Gita. So we'll see Lord Shiva's glories. Okay, so let's take 5 minutes break and then come back and we'll continue. Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, everyone. Please come back. We'll start with next chapter, chapter number 24. Chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. Okay, let's start. Text number 1.
Text 1. Maitreya Uvacha Vijitashvo Diraji Jasit Pritu Putra Pritu Shravaha Viyobhyo Dadat Kashtha Bhartribhyo Bhartrivatsalaha.
Hare Krishna. The great sage Maitreya continued. Vijitasva, the eldest son of Maharaj Prithu, who had a reputation like his father's, became emperor and gave his younger brothers different directions of the world to govern, for he was very affectionate towards his brothers. Hare Krishna.
So now we are going to continue the lineage from Prithu and Archie, because now they have retired. What happens next, right? And here it says Maitreya is continuing to speak, and then Vijitsava. We already read about Vijitsava before, right? Where did we read of Vijitsava? Where did we read of Vijitsava? Anyone remembers? Where did we read about Vijitsava?
Maybe during the Vigna, Prabhuji, like
Yes, during when the Indra stole the horse, it was this son of Prithu, Vijitsava, who actually went and got the horse back from Indra. And he did not want to kill Indra because Indra was wearing a sannyasi dress, etc. So that same son. So here it says, after Prithu, he retired, he left his body. I mean, one way, he went back home, back to college. Then the eldest son, Vijitsava, Adhiraja, he became the emperor. And it says, Prithu Putra Prithu. He, being the son of Prithu, had the great exact qualities like Prithu. He had, he had his reputation of his father. And then also another point is said, Bhratra Vratsala. He was very affectionate to his Bhratra, to his brothers. And then Shataha. So he actually, because he has so much affection for his brothers, he gave different parts of the kingdom, different directions to his brothers. Okay, next verse, text 2.
Text 2. Haryakshaya dishat prachim Dhum rakeshaya dakshinam Pratichim vrikka samgyaya Turyam dravinashe vibhuhu.
Maharaj Vijitsava offered the eastern part of the world to his brother Haryaksha, the southern part to Dhumaksha, and the western part to Varka, and the northern part to Dravina.
So Haryaksha, Dhrumarakesha, Vrika, and Dravina. So in these four brothers, he gave 4 directions. Text 3.
Antardhana gatim sakral labdvantardhana samgitaha apatyatrayam adhata shikandinyam susammatam.
Hare Krishna. Formerly, Maharaja Vijitswa pleased the king of heaven, Indra, and from him received the title Antardhana. His wife's name was Shikandini, and by her he begot 3 good sons. Hare Krishna.
So this refers to that episode of Indra stealing the 100th horse. So here it says Antardhana. Antardhana means disappear, right? So when Indra stole the horse, Vijitsava actually chased Indra, and Vijitsava had the power to actually kill Indra, right? But seeing Indra, that Indra dressed like a sannyas dress, then he actually, in spite knowing that he is the one at fault, he actually excused Indra. And because of that, actually afterwards Indra became pleased, and he gave him the name Antardhana, and he also gave him the mystic powers of disappearing. That at any moment you can disappear. So Indra blessed him with that. Next verse.
Pavaka pavamanascha. Text 4. Pavaka pavamanascha shuchir ityagnaya pura Vashishta shapat utpana punar yoga gatim gataha.
Hare Krishna. The 3 sons of Maharaja Antardhana were named Pavaka, Pavamana, and Suchi. Formerly, these 3 personalities were the demigods of fire. But due to the curse of the great sage Vasishtha, they became the sons of Maharaja Antardhana. As such, they were as powerful as the fire gods, and they attained the destination of mystic yoga power, being again situated as the demigods of fire.
Right. So now we are talking about Vijitsava, and what's the wife's name? Who remembers? Shikandini. Right? So from them, the 3 sons were born: Pavaka, Pavamana, and Suchi. Right? So 3 sons. And it is said here that before Pura, formerly they were Agneyaha. Agneya means fire gods. But then Vashishta Shapat. When they got cursed by Vashishta, then they actually became these three sons, Pavaka, Pavamana and Suchi. But then Punaha, after they are sons here, but in this life as sons of Vijitsava, they actually again continued their spiritual activities, and Yoga Gatim, they again attained that position as the fire demigods. Right? So Prabhupada in this purport focuses on this point that how in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna actually says, he says, Prapya Punya Kritam Lokam what's that? Prapya Punya Kritam Lokam Usitsa Shasvata Sama Suchidam Grihatam Shutinam Shrimatam Gehe Yogo Brashta Vijayate. That anyone who practices yoga but due to some reason is not able to complete it, then what happens? The next life he gets promoted to the heavenly planets and then he comes back. Right? And there he gets an opportunity to continue his spiritual activities that he had previously performed. Right? So that's what Prabhupada is saying, that they are actually giving this is an example of those 6 chapter verses that Krishna actually says that they attained a high destination, but then they were cursed or some reason they actually came back, but they continued and they regained their position. Next verse, text 5. I mean, first few verses are lineage, so we are going to go a little fast, and then
Antardhano nabhasvatyam havirdhanam avindata ya indram ashvahartaram vidvan api na jagnivan.
okay, who's next?
I forget who read last.
I read Mataji.
Okay, Mataji.
It's me then. Yeah. Text 6, right? So,
5.
Maharaj Antardhan had another wife named Nabaswati, and by her he was happy to beget another son named Haridhan. Since Maharaj Antardhan was very liberal, he did not kill Indra while the demigod was stealing his father's horse at the sacrifice.
So basically here it continues. Antardhana. Antardhana is same as Vijitsava, right? The king by name Antardhana. He had another wife. So one was Shikandini and then the other wife is Nabhaswati. And then from that he got a son by name Havirdhana. And then here further he says, again is referring back to the glories of Vijitsava. Indram Ashwa Hartaram. Indra who stole that horse, Vidwan Api. He knew Na Jignivan. So even though Vijitsava or Antardhana knew that Indra is the one who's stealing the horse, he did not kill Indra. And this actually Prabhupada explains this point that Prabhupada starts the purport by saying, it is understood from various scriptures and Puranas that Indra was very expert in stealing and kidnapping. Imagine Prabhupada is saying, Indra, we know he's so expert at this, and then he says how he actually once Gautam Rishi, a story of Ahilya, Prabhupada talks about that also, how he enjoyed with Ahilya, etc., etc. Then Prabhupada here, he says Antardhana knew that Indra was stealing the house, but he did not kill Indra. Why? Because he knew that one way Indra is a powerful demigod, he is also a devotee of Krishna. And then Prabhupada quotes this Bhagavad Gita 9:30 saying, Apiche sudarcharo bhajate mam ananyabhag sadur eva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. That basically, even if he is committing an abominable act, but because he is engaged in bhakti, then one should not consider his act very seriously. It is because of some previous conditioning he is actually committing. So one should not take that very seriously and just kill a person because of that. Right? So because the devotees of the Lord are very powerful, right? So if they commit anything abominable, it should be overlooked. I mean, this is a point that's always taken with, how we say, an asterisk, a subtle point. That it's not that someone is doing a nonsense and we are always oh yeah, it's okay. If it is premeditated, it is, done repeatedly, then those things cannot be excused. But by chance, if someone, because of previous conditioning, just once something happens, then that should be overlooked. And provided that he's continuing on the path of bhakti, then it can be overlooked. Text 6.
For Indra, it was premeditated and it was repeated, repeated, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, it's interesting that Prabhupada is actually taking this mood here and saying that, Vijitsava, knowing that Indra is a devotee, he actually excused him. Right? But, I mean, you can say, yes, Indra, it was repeated, but it wasn't repeated with I mean, it's true that Indra was repeated in the same episode again and again, he came and he stole the horse. But still, like, Indra is also a powerful demigod, in that position as a king of the heaven. So he has responsibilities, and here Prabhupada is making the point to glorify Vijitsava, that he excused in spite of those.
Text 6. Vragyam vritim karadana danda shulkadi darunam manyamano dirgasatra vyajena visasarjaha.
Hare Krishna 424:6. Whenever Antardhana, the supreme royal power, had to extract taxes, punish his citizens, or fine them severely, he was not willing to do so. Consequently, he retired from the execution of such duties and engaged himself in the performance of different sacrifices. Hare Krishna.
So interesting. So why the previous verse, the glories of Vijitsava, is saying that in spite of being a Kshatriya, being a Kshatriya, imagine someone is coming and stealing the 100th horse sacrifice for the father. So any Kshatriya would just come and just kill and get the horse. But Vijitsava was actually exceptional in that case. But here further it actually makes a point. Ragyam Vrittim, what is the source of livelihood for kings? They have to extract taxes. They are not, who will pay the king? Right? He's not an employee to actually get some money from an employer. Right? Other way I said. Employer getting money from employee. He's not like that. The king's livelihood depends on the taxes that the citizens give. So Antardhana, as a matter of a king, he had to take taxes. And then if something goes wrong, he has to punish the citizens, right? If someone is doing wrong, he has to fine them. But Daruna Manyamana, in his heart, he was so soft-hearted, he was so liberal, that when he used to punish anyone, he would be like, yeah, it's too much pain, I don't like this, I don't like to give punishment. Therefore, Dirgha Sattva Vyajena, on the plea of performing a long sacrifice, he gave up his duties and he went to the forest. Right? And Prabhupada here in this purport says, like, sometimes a king has to do some things which are not desirable. Right? Like how Arjun had to shoot arrows on Bhishma Pitama. Was that easy for Arjun? I mean, imagine shooting arrows on Dronacharya, Bhishma Pitama, who are worthier. Still, because he was a Kshatriya, he was a king, he had to do it. Right? So Prabhupada is making the point that Kshatriyas may have to do something. Actually, it's true in every dharma that there are some duties that one may not like to do it, but still one should do it because they are in a particular varna. Right? So therefore, Antardhana was not happy doing this, so he took early retirement. Right? Next verse, text 7.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
This topic is coming again and again, but I'm never convinced about Indra. I don't know how to understand him, Prabhuji. He's repeatedly doing the mistakes. I mean, like, here, if you read the person, raping Gautama Muni's wife and then stealing the. How can he be supported? Lord Vishnu himself is coming with Indra. I can never understand how many times I heard this. They are giving like this. Here we are quoting Apichet Sudaracharo, but it is like repeated mistake.
Yeah, that's true.
Can you please help me understand this? He always puzzles me, honestly. Is it a causeless mercy for him?
Only Krishna can understand why he's... Okay, so let's see. So what point can we make here? So, I mean, Indra certainly he is the king of heaven. He has duties.
Right, right. That's why he has more responsibilities
more
being a king.
responsibility. He's the appointed by Vishnu himself.
Yeah.
And then we see again and again Indra doing all these things. Uh, what would be a good way to say, like, why, like, even now when Prithu, that whole episode was going, Indra actually, Indra came with Vishnu, right? And then Indra,
Yeah.
begging forgiveness. And anyone had any thoughts on this?
Prabhuji, I
Vishnu?
was thinking
Yeah.
about the same thing, and I was thinking nobody's about the law. And how is this justified for Indra, right? But I think the main point here is, according to me, that we should not be taking the law into our hands just because somebody else is doing something wrong.
Yes.
It is their karma. They will experience whatever they have to. Like Indra, he got a lot of, he was always stressed, right? He was always in doubt. He was always thinking, oh, somebody's going to take away my throne. That is mental stress, and that is something that he had to experience, even though he has such a powerful position. And that's because of all his wrongdoings that I feel like he's getting it from Krishna himself. He's getting the thing. So even though we are seeing that he's doing all these mistakes over and over, he's getting the reaction for that. He is getting sharps. He is getting stress and all of those things. So I think in a way that we should not, the lesson is that we should not be taking the law into our hands. We should not be trying to punish or give judgment. It is for the Lord to do that, and it'll happen in a way.
Yeah, that's a
That's
good
the only
point.
way I can
Yeah.
explain it, and I can
Yeah. Sure.
I can be peaceful with it. Otherwise, it's very difficult.
Like, I like the point about, like, yes, Vishnu is supporting Indra, but still Indra, when he's cursed, he has to pay the price for it. I mean, imagine that Ahilya, Gautama and Ahilya episode. Gautama cursed, such an embarrassing curse to Indra. I mean, imagine, like, having that, I'm not going to mention that curse, but having that curse, and, like, how can he even go in front of anyone, with that curse? That's just, like, so embarrassing curse that Indra had, right? So Indra is faced with the consequences of his action. But so that's the point, right? So there is a particular system that Krishna has created, the law of karma, the law of dharma. There's a universal order, and Indra, being a part of the system, is subjected to the punishment of that system. But why we see Vishnu actually supporting him? Because he is also in a position of an office, right? He is in that management of Krishna, and he has taken up that seva of, serving Krishna through being that king of the demigods. So it's both sides. So it's, let's say I'm thinking of a material example that, a father has employed a son in his own company, right? And the son is doing the duties of his job, but the son is also, let's say he is, what's the right word? What's the right word? Like, not chaste, he's behind girls, or he's doing nonsense, but he's doing his duties. So will the father support the son? Well, if he's doing something wrong, the father will say, okay, you did wrong, you have to support. But he's the son. He's the son. So whenever Indra is ready to ask for forgiveness, the father will come and say, okay. Right, let's go together. I will help you out. I will help you out. So that both points we see that one is Indra is subjected to the curses. At that time, Vishnu was saying, oh, you're my son, therefore no, you have to go through your consequences. You did the action, you face the consequences. But at the same time, because he is serving Krishna in that position, he gets some. Yes, Shri Radha.
So
Is it the same person? I know Indra is a title or a position, right, Prabhu? Is it the same person doing repeatedly, or somebody else who's sitting in that position is also making?
But soon after they get that position, they became like this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I have that same question, Mataji.
Yeah.
Same Indra doing the same
I mean,
mistakes again and again.
from the first, I mean, from the, let's say, second canto, from Brahma's creation, all the way up to the seventh canto, we are reading about this 1 month. Actually, yeah, we're just up to the eighth canto starting. It's all just one
Same
Indra.
Manvantara.
Same Indra. Same Indra. So wherever we are seeing stories of Indra, up to this is all the same Indra. But even your point is also valid that because there is so much, worship, so much opulence, then Indra gets deviated, because there's so much. Imagine being the king of the demigods with that opulence. There is always the risk of following and doing, things which are not favorable, or which are against dharma. Right. So that point is also there.
So the one point is like that also it helps to prove the greatness of the devotee. In this case, like how Prithu Maharaj left is yajna, like not doing the sacrifice. That elevates the position of
Devotee.
So it's
And
a help
also,
to
yeah, I mean, to your point, like, actually, there are like so many practical lessons that we are learning through. So, one way, like, even though Indra is doing all these mistakes, but every time Indra does a mistake, we learn so many practical lessons.
Probably he is playing that role for us to teach a lesson, Prabhuji.
I don't know if he's just playing a role there. He actually may be, let's see in that way. But but we are learning so many lessons, and that's why Bhagavatam is actually mentioning all those lessons for us to learn. I mean, like how when Brihaspati came and offered that gal, and then Indra just gave it to his elephant, and the elephant just crushed it. So disrespect to spiritual master. How after that everything was a downfall for Indra. So many lessons we learned for Indra. So yes. Yes, Rajendra?
Yeah, Prabhu, one thing which I was thinking is like in Swargaloka and the heavenly planets, the laws of karma don't apply. Like, this is laws of karma applicable only in the Manusha, like in the human form of life on the earth, because like Swarga and the upper planetary systems are just the Bhoga Yoni, it's not the Karma Yoni. Like, so they don't create any new karmas there. Like, so there are no hard and fast rules of like of karma in the planet.
I mean that the point is that that they're enjoying their opulences, but if they do a wrong action, they face their consequences, right?
Yeah, I mean maybe like a curse here and there, but I mean
yeah, I mean they spend mostly what they do is they spend their punya.
Yeah,
that is for sure, but that doesn't mean that they are free from doing wrong and escaping out of it.
So still there is karma, Prabhuji, in Swargaloka also, right?
I mean, they don't as such accumulate that piety, and so karma is like a very wide word, right? In the sense of like karma could be just be the action or the law of action and reaction. So if you say, is there karma in the heavenly planets? Well, one way that they're spending out their bhoga, that is also a system of karma, right? Because they have accumulated something and they're just spending the whole
good
thing
karma.
is they are spending out. So it comes in the network of karma. You cannot deny that. But are they accumulating more karma there? Maybe more of just like spending their karma there. But every action has its consequence. So one way they are not free from the whole system of Krishna.
But Prabhu, like in chapter 15 only of Bhagavad Gita we read, I think text 2, Karmanu Bandhini Manusha Loke. So from that I understand that like only Manusha, like human beings, like we say like animals are like they don't create any new karma.
Right.
But I think it's the same for even for the heavenly planet residents, that they don't create any karma.
Yeah, yeah.
That
So yes, Prabhu. So the point is valid that they're not creating more karma, but they're still enjoying the results of their karma, right?
yes, yeah. That, and once that is finished, they will come back.
They'll come back.
And
Yes. So
there
so
is
one way that system is that framework is there, but just in that heavenly planets is not creating more, but enjoying their karma.
right.
But again, the point which we are coming back to is they are not free from the consequences of their actions.
Yeah, the way I think is the things that Indra has done. If someone does on the Earth planet, they would be thrown into the hell, But Indra is not getting those consequences. Like he's getting like curses, okay. But if someone does that in the Manusha Lok,
Mm.
I mean, yeah, there will be a much greater consequences for those kind of.
Mm. Mm. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I mean that that point is interesting, that how I mean even in Ramayana we read these stories where some action is done and we see the immediate reaction, like we see in Indra's case. Like he offended the spiritual master, immediately everything was his downfall, and then he did that Ahilya act, immediately he was cursed, right? But in the material world, it's like you do some action and you may suffer it after 10 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes, who knows, right? And so yeah, so that's an interesting point, that when they do something they get an immediate reaction. So the way I feel like the whole thing is in the framework of karma for sure, but they are not accumulating more karma, they are more spending karma in the heavenly planets.
So in other words, you are saying that they don't accumulate more karma, they're just burning their
Burning
Kshine
the
Kshine Punya Matya Lokam Vishanti. That's what we have to understand.
So, see, I mean, this whole Indra character. I mean, one we are trying to analyze now is the karma aspect of it. Right? Like, I would go back and analyze more in terms of, karma is anyway very complicated. But what point Rohinton Prabhu said is valid about there just being spending. I would see it more from the point of how Indra is actually serving Krishna by taking that position. And the example of a father and a son working in the company of the father. Like I feel I connect more with that point of a son working in the father. So he's doing his job, whatever he has to do, his business, he's doing. But he has some flaws, and the father is always like, okay, you do it, you face the consequence, but you're still my son. So if you're willing to beg forgiveness, I will be there. I will be there with you. So that's how I see it. Okay, should we continue with this next point? Text number 7.
Tatrapi hamsam purusham paramatmanam atmadrik yajam stalokatam apa kushalena samadhina.
Although Maharaj Antardhan was engaged in performing sacrifices because he was a self-realized soul, he very intelligently rendered devotional service to the Lord, who eradicates all the fears of his devotees. By thus worshipping the Supreme Lord, Maharaj Antardhan, wrapped in ecstasy, attained his planet very easily.
So previous verse, what did he say? That he didn't want to exact taxes, and he said, I was too much suffering, giving punishment. So he took early retirement. Now, when he retired himself, here it says, he was doing what? Even though he was engaged in these sacrifices, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says it appeared that he was doing this karmakanda sacrifices, but because he was Atmadrik, he was a self-realized soul, even while he was doing the sacrifices, he was actually worshipping Hamsam Purusham. Hamsam Purusham means that supreme personality who kills the distress of people. Hamsam Purusham, right? And then Parama Atmana, that most beloved super soul. So he was, so Prabhupada in the purport says that externally he was performing sacrifices, but internally he was engaged in devotional service to Krishna. And because internally he was engaged in devotional service, he was always in Samadhi. Samadhi Nam. He was always experiencing that ecstasy. And therefore he actually attained what? very easily, Kushalena, very easily he attained Vaikuntha. Salokya, liberation. Same planet as Krishna, right? So he attained Vaikuntha. Text 8.
Havirdhana dhari dhani vidura suta satsutan barhishadham gayam shuklam krishnam satyam jitavratam.
Okay, go ahead next. Who's next?
Yeah. Translation. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Haridhan, the son of Maharaj Antardhan, had a wife named Haridhani who gave birth to 6 sons named Barhisat, Gaya, Shukla, Krishna, Satya, and Jitavrata. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so this is the, so we're reading of Vijitsava or Antardhan having 2 wives. So one wife we already read with 3 sons. Second wife we read of Havirdhana. Now we are continuing further. Havirdhana had a wife named Havirdhani. I know how it happens. It's so strange, right? Like Havirdhana has a wife by name Havirdhani. Like it's like one way, like how is it possible that, you know, like a person gets married to a person by name with an E. And then he gave birth to 6 sons by Bharisat. So now, if you see Bharisat, that is how the lineage is going to continue. Because you may already get the hint that the next pastime is that of Bharisat and Prachetas. Okay, so that's how the lineage is going. Text 9.
Barishatsu Mahabhago Havirdhani Prajapatihi Kriya Kandeshu Nishnato Yogeshu Chakuru Dhruvaha.
Yeah, go ahead.
The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, Havirdhana's very powerful son named Bharisat was very expert in performing various kinds of fruitive sacrifices, and he was also expert in the practice of mystic yoga. By his great qualifications, he became known as Prajapati.
So basically here is Kuru Udva, or best of the Kurus, Bharisat, because that's going to be our continuation of the story. So here is talking of the glories of Bharisat. Su Mahabhaga, he was very fortunate. And why? Kriya Kandeshu Nishnata, he was very expert in Kriya Kanda, like Karma Kanda, right? Kriya Kanda, like fruitive activities, and also Yogeshu, in mystic yoga practices. So he was very fortunate because he was very expert in these 2 things, or he was always Nishnata, also means he was always merged, he was always performing these Karma Kanda and mystic yoga practices. And then Prajapati, and because he was so great, he actually got the title of Prajapati. And why? What does Prajapati mean? Like even Brahma, Daksha, they are called Prajapati. Why? Because they create progenies. So because Bharisat created progeny that continued the lineage, he was also known as Prajapati. Text 10. Okay, so next we have Barshana Priya Mataji, Avanti Mataji, and then Arundhati Mataji. Okay.
Prabhu, is this the same Barishat who later heard about the Puranjana story?
Yeah, like so the son of Bharisat will be Puranjanas, and then the whole, Prachetas. So will be Prachetas, and then Narad Muni will come and speak the whole Puranjan story to this Bharisat.
Okay. Text 10. Yasyedam deva yajanam anuyajgyam vitanvataha prachinagrahe kusher asid ashritam vasudhatalam.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj Bharisat executed many sacrifices all over the world. He scattered kusha grasses and kept the tops of the grasses pointed eastward.
Okay, so basically here, because previous verse said that how he was always absorbed in yajna, so he said idam devam yajnanam, for the benefit of the demigods, he anuyajnam vitanvata, he continuously executed yajna after yajna after yajna, and then prachina agri kushahi. So because he was always doing yajna, every time the kusha grass was facing the east direction, that means continuously yajna was going on. And then Ashritam Vasudha Talam. So there was one way, like no place on the earth where yajna was not being performed. And we can already imagine Prabhupada's mood here. Because Bodhisattva was no place on the earth where yajna was not being done. And we can see what Prabhupada is thinking. This is how our Sankirtan movement should be. So Prabhupada says, at the present moment, there's similar need to perform Sankirtan movement all over the world. This Krishna conscious movement has started performing Sankirtan yajna in different places, and it has been experienced that wherever Sankirtan yajna is performed, many thousands of people gather and take part in it. Few years back, actually for one Sadhu Sangha retreat, His Holiness Satchidananda Swami Maharaj, he started the Sadhu Sangha, welcome everyone by reading this purport. And he said this exact line where he actually said, the Krishna conscious movement has started performing Sankirtan Yajna. And wherever Yajna is performed, Sadhu Sangha retreat. Thousands of people come to participate. And that's how Maharaj started this. When I was reading, I was remembering that. Right? And Prabhupada says that, this yajna, just like Bodhisattva did the Karmakanda yajnas, one after another, similarly, the members of Krishna conscious movement should perform Sankirtan yajnas one after another, so that all around the world, people will know Hare Krishna. And they will say, oh, see, Hare Krishna is at airport, Hare Krishna is here, Hare Krishna is there. And by that, even jokingly, they will chant Hare Krishna. And because of that, they will benefit. They will benefit of thus they will derive the benefit of cleansing of the heart. Right? So either jokingly or seriously, if this is chanted, they will get the benefit. Right? So if the surface of the globe is over flooded with the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then the people of the world will be very happy. So we see this is Prabhupada's mood, right? He wants Sankirtan Yajna. Every place there should be Yajna. Continuously, one after another, every street, every village, there should be Sankirtan Yajna. Right? So the whole globe is overflooded with chanting of Hare Krishna. If, His Grace Vaisheshekar Prabhu, if you have seen this paint, what's it called? Sherwin Williams. Everyone knows that paint company, a very famous paint company. And their image is basically they have like the earth and then the paint overflowing, covering the entire earth. And Vaisheshekar Prabhu quotes this. He says, this is how a Sankirtan movement. You have to cover the entire globe with Srila Prabhupada's books, with the holy name. This is what it is. So, okay, text 11.
Samudrim deva devoktam upayeme shatadrutim yam vikshacharu sarvangim kishorim shuštvaram kritam parikramantim udvahe chakamegni shukim iva.
Hare Krishna. Maharaja Barhisat, henceforward known as Prachina Barhi, was ordered by the supreme demigod Lord Brahma to marry the daughter of the ocean named Shatadruti. Her bodily features were completely beautiful and she was very young. She was decorated with proper garments, and when she came into the marriage arena and began circumambulating it, the fire god Agni became so attracted to her that he desired her company, exactly as he had formerly desired to enjoy Shukli.
Okay, so basically here, so we are continuing further. So Bodhisattva was performing so many yajnas, and because he was doing all these yajnas, his name is known as Prachini Bhari, right? Prachini Bhari. So henceforward, he'll be called Prachini Bhari. Then he was Deva Uktam. Who is the Dev of Deva? Who is the head of all the demigods? Brahmaji. So Brahmaji himself, Uktam, he actually came and told Prachini Bhari, you should get married to Samudrim, the daughter of Samudra, the ocean. And her name is Shatadruti. So you get married to Shatadruti, and Shatadruti was so attractive. Charu, very attractive. Sarva Angam, every limb of her was so attractive. Kishori, she was youthful. And then Alankritam, she was decorated with all these ornaments. Then when there was a fire yajna going on, and she was circumambulating the fire god got attracted to her. Imagine how beautiful. Like so many marriage ceremonies, right? And every time the bride and groom, they're circumambulating. And imagine fire god is attracted to the bride, the bride. So it was so beautiful. Just like how fire god was previously attracted to Sukhi. So this Prabhupada explains the story in the purport that he says that once there was a sacrifice with all the great sages, right? And then in that, Agni became attracted to the wife of the sage, right? One of the wives of the sage. And the Agni's wife named Swaha, so he got attracted to this person by name Sukhi, right? This wife. But Agni's wife, her name is Swaha, right? We say Swaha, right? So Swaha. So Swaha took the form of Sukhi. Seeing that her husband is attracted to this, she actually took the form of Sukhi and then she actually enjoyed with her husband. So, but the point here is just like Agni was attracted to Sukhi, similarly now this daughter of the Samudra was so beautiful, Shatadruti was so beautiful that even Agni became attracted to her. Now Prabhupada in this verse and next verse talks about it is for brahmacharis. Like, really, you see Prabhupada's mood. So if you see how Prabhupada starts his purport, and it's like amazing, like when you're reading the purport, all of a sudden you get like shocked. So if you see, it starts off by saying, according to Vedic system, when a girl is married, she's decorated nicely, costly saris. I mean, Indian marriages you see, like so expensive saris, jewelry, highly decorated. And the bride and the groom, they circumambulate the fire 7 times. After that, the bride and groom, they look at one another and became attracted for life. So up to this is all like very romantic and very nice, husband, wife coming together. And then, further says, Prabhupada says, when the bridegroom finds the bride very beautiful, the attraction between them immediately becomes very strongly fixed, right? And right. Okay. And then further continues. So once the attraction is there, then there's a nice house, then there's a good field for producing grains or business, and then children, and then wealth. And then Prabhupada says, and then in this way, male becomes more and more entangled in the material conception of life, and he begins to think, this is mine, it is I who I am acting. In this way, the illusion of material existence is perpetuated. So one way, if you see, the purpose starts in a very rosy way of like, oh, getting together, attraction. Prabhupada says they get fixed forever because they are attracted, and all of a sudden Prabhupada switches the purpose and says, this is the cause of your suffering in this material world. It's like a brahmachari class, you know. And then Prabhupada basically goes, Pumsa Striya Mituni Bhavam Etam, 558 of Bhagavatam. Tayor mito hridaya grante aho, aho griha kshetra sutape vite, janasya moho yam aham mameti. Prabhupada quotes this verse so frequently that attraction between male and female is a cause of our existence in this material world. When the male and female, they are attracted, then that is home, property, children, and in this way the person is entangled in the concept of I and mine. And Prabhupada concludes the purport and says, the sex drive is so strong that the whole material world is running on sex attraction only. And it is due to sex attraction that one remains in the material world. I read one story of like how Prabhupada came to one of these big cities, I think either Paris or New York. And Prabhupada saw the buildings, you know, all tall buildings, you know, the downtown, the skyline they call, all the tall buildings. And Prabhupada looked at that and said like, oh, I think the girls in the city are very attractive. And one may say like, what is the connection? Prabhupada is seeing tall buildings and saying the girls in the city must be very attractive. And then he made the point, it is only when the girls are attractive, then the male are actually, you know, attractive girls and then, oh, we want to do big. And he actually comes to a point, the sex drive is actually, the whole civilization is running on sex attraction only. And it is due to sex attraction that one remains. So it really like a, you know, like a wake up. All of a sudden we are reading of beauty, and then all of a sudden Prabhupada talks of this. And then I think next verse, he goes further into brahmachari class. Text 12.
Vibhudha sura gandharva muni siddha naro raga vijita sura yaya dikshu kvanayant yaiva nupurai. I don't know.
I think Avanti Mataji.
Avanti Mati read. She read already.
She read. Okay, Avanti Mati.
Okay. While Shatadruti was thus being married, the demons, the denizens of Gandharvaloka, the great sages, and the denizens of Siddhaloka, the earthly planets and Nagaloka, although highly exalted, were all captivated by the thinking of her ankle bells. Correct.
Hmm. So here it says that she was so beautiful that all these personalities, imagine the demigods in Gandharva Loka, Gandharvas are supposed to be so attractive, right? They were attracted to her beauty, right? And also then so Siddha Loka, Naga Loka, everyone, they were captivated just by the tinkling of her ankle bells. That's how beautiful she was. And Prabhupada in the purport says that, how we read in the previous verse, she was so decorated with sari and ornaments that they wanted to see her, but they could not. And just they could see her feet. And just seeing her feet, hearing the tinkling bells, they were all captivated. And here Prabhupada gives brahmachari class. He says, it is understood that person becomes lusty just by hearing the tinkling of bangles or ankle bells, or just seeing by woman's sari. Thus it is concluded that woman is a complete representation of Maya. So Prabhupada is so heavy. Maybe at that time he was like trying to get his disciples to become brahmachari or sannyas, and Prabhupada like really hitting. So, for man, woman is complete representation of Maya. For woman, man is complete representation. So that's like, you take it that way. And Prabhupada gives an example, famous example of Vishwamitra Muni. How so severe austerities and just tinkling of ankle bells of Menaka, that's it. All his austerities are over. And then Prabhupada concludes. He says, only a devotee of the Lord who is attracted by Krishna can escape the lures of women. Once one is attracted by Krishna, the illusory energy of the world cannot attract him. Right? So this is the key point, that yes, there's so strong bondage between man and woman, but our whole bhakti process is so strong, so powerful, that once someone is attracted by Krishna, then no longer he'll be pulled by this Maya. Right? So let's take a few comments on how does this work, that once one is attracted to Maya, then he loses all attraction to this opposite sex. Does anyone want to share any points? How can we say that once one is attracted to Krishna, he loses all the other attractions also?
The param drishtva nivartante, higher taste.
Okay, one get the higher taste. Okay, what else references from the Bhagavad Gita? So that's a good reference, 259. Any other references from the Bhagavad Gita to make this point? Or any points to substantiate this?
Prabhuji, bhakti is so experiential that when we serve Krishna and his devotees, the joy that we feel that is so higher that it is other joys in this material, so-called joys in this material world become so insignificant.
Yes, that's a good point. So other sections which I'm thinking is in 3rd chapter where Krishna talks of Kama Isha, Krodha Isha, Rajoguna Sama. And where he says, lust is everywhere. In our senses, in our mind, in our intelligence, everywhere is lust. And how do we understand this? I think I've described this before, that why our entire self is made of lust? Because of that one. Because our original self is made of love for Krishna. Right? Our original constitutional spiritual self is made of love for Krishna, but as soon as we do Krishna Bahirmukh, then our senses, our existence is covered by lust. Right? Maya avarana. We are covered by that Maya or covering of lust. Right? And hence, when we regain that attraction to Krishna, then everything else seems insignificant. Like another section, 15th chapter, Purushottam Yoga, right? Where it actually says everything is a reflection in this material world. How can, if you are attracted to a real thing, you lose all attraction to the reflection. If you are eating the real food, then you will not be happy. You will realize that, oh, just a photo is nothing. I want to eat the real thing, right? So similarly, once attracted to Krishna, then everything else, all the attractions of Maya seems insignificant. Like how Prabhupada often quotes Bilvaman Thakur, who actually says, when I Nava Rasa Dhama, in bhakti you get, every step you get so much rasa that Krishna says, then he's saying that when I think about happiness in the material world, I just spit at the thought that, oh, how disgusting it is. Real happiness is Nava Nava Rasa, right? The happiness in Krishna. Okay. Text 13.
Prajini Bharisha Putra Shatradrutyam Dasha Bhavan Tulyanama Vrata Sarve Dharmasnata Prachetasaha. Now we're going back. Vrindavan Vilasan Mataji.
King Prachin Bhari begot 10 children in the womb of Shatadruti. All of them were equally endowed with religiosity, and all of them were known as the Prachetas. Hare Krishna.
So here the point is Tulya Nama Vrita Sarva Dharma. So Dash Abhavan, so 10 children from Prachin Bhari and Shatadruti, right? And they were actually all equally endowed with religious. And this is important because this will lead further to our storyline. And then further, they are called Prachetas. And Prabhupada in the purport says, Dharma Snataha means one should be perfectly religious, one should be perfect in executing the vows of devotional service, one should be perfect in knowledge, one should be perfect in good behavior, and the Prachetas had these qualities. So 4 points. Dharma, religion, executing the vows of devotional service, knowledge, and good behavior. These 4 points. Text 14.
Pitradhishta praja sarge tapasir navam avishan dasha varsha sahasrani tapasarcham tapaspatim.
Hare Krishna. When all these prachatas were ordered by their father to marry and beget children, they all entered the ocean and practiced austerities and penances for 10,000 years. Thus they worshipped the master of all austerity, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So basically here, what did they do? So Pitva Adishta. So who is the Pitva? Prachin Bhari. He actually gave instructions to Pracheta. He says, Praja Sarge, create Praja, right? Populate, create Praja. Tapase Arnav. They said, okay, we have to do it. And then they actually started to perform austerities. And then Avishan, they entered an ocean. Dasha Varsha Sahasrani. 10,000 years they perform austerity. Right? And what did they do in their austerity? Archan Tapaha Patim. They worship the master of austerity. Right? So Prabhupada in the purport, he explains that sometimes they go to the Himalayas, but here we are reading they enter into the depth of the ocean. So the main point is to go to a secluded place and perform austerities. And then Prabhupada says, if one achieves the favor of the Supreme Lord, he has finished all kinds of austerities. If one does not attain the favor of devotional service, then all his austerities is useless. Right? So this is similar to the point, that verse that we have quoted earlier. Tapasa tatha kim. What is the use of your austerities if it does not bringing you devotional service? And if you are already engaged in devotional service, what is the use of your austerities? No need to do any austerity. Then Prabhupada here also quotes Aho bata swapachato tu garyan jad jivagre vartate namatubhyam. That one who is chanting the holy name of Krishna, who is using tongue to chant the holy name, he's already performed all these austerities, penances. One need not go to the Himalayas to perform because he's already chanting the holy name. Right? So that's a proof. Someone is chanting the holy name is a proof that he has already undergone all kinds of austerities. Yeah, and Prabhupada talks about Mahamantra and says like that in the age of Kali Yuga, this is offered as a great concession to all the fallen human beings. It is to be understood that, yeah, if someone is not chanting Hare Krishna in spite of all the benedictions, then he is in Maya. Text 15.
Yad uktam pati drishtena girishena prashidata tad dhyayanto japantascha pujayantascha samyataha.
Hare Krishna. When all the sons of Prachinabarhi left home to execute austerities, they met Lord Shiva, who out of great mercy instructed them about the absolute truth. all the sons of Prachinabar, he meditated upon the instructions, chanting and worshipping them with great care and attention. Hare Krishna.
So further it says they went to perform 10,000 year austerity, and then while they were going to perform the austerity, Drishtena Girishena. Girisha means Lord Shiva. Girisha is the name of Lord Shiva, right? So they saw Drishtena, they saw who? Girisha. And this Lord Shiva was Prasiddhata. He was very pleased with them, and he gave them instructions on the absolute truth. That's the Rudra Gita, basically, further in this chapter. And then when they received instructions of Lord Shiva, what did they do? Dhyayantaha, they meditated. Japantaha, they chanted. Pujayantaha, they worshipped now those instructions with great care and attention. Right? Prabhupada in the purpose stresses that when one wants to perform austerities, he should have a spiritual master, And here Lord Shiva became the guru for these prachetas. So pracheta, like one way, they went to perform austerities. But what kind of austerities? How to do it? Lord Shiva gave them the guidance. So he became the spiritual master, right? And then Prabhupada says, once a disciple receives instructions, he is initiated and receives the order of spiritual master, the disciple should unhesitatingly think about the instructions or orders of spiritual master and should not allow him to be disturbed by anything else. Such a powerful statement. And once we receive initiation, we receive instructions from the Guru, then that's it. The disciple should unhesitatingly, without any hesitancy, say, this, what my Guru order is said, what is my Guru Maharaj's order, that is it. That is my life and soul. And Prabhupada did that, right? And Prabhupada goes, Vyavasatmika buddhi ekehe kurunandana. One pointed attention to fulfill the mission of the spiritual master. Otherwise, like how Prabhupada, first meeting he got this, right? Instruction, preach in the Western world, and how Prabhupada made that his life and soul. And Prabhupada says, this is the secret of success. What is the secret of success? To make the order of the Guru Maharaj as one's life and soul. So this disciple should not consider whether he's going back home, back to Godhead. His first business should be to execute the order of the spiritual master. That's all. What Guru Maharaj has said, just make those instructions as a life and soul, and that's it. There should be no other deviation to that. Okay. Okay. Is that a question?
Yes, Prabhu. Did the Prachetas do their 10,000 year penance before or after they met Lord Shiva? Was the austerity before or after?
Yeah, first they met Lord Shiva.
So on their way to...
Yes, and that's basically further the verses.
Oh, okay. And maybe it will get answered. But did they leave home because they did not want to get married, or did they leave home because they wanted to explore?
No, they actually left home to perform because they took the order of their father. Father said procreate, but to actually procreate, we'll perform austerities first to be qualified to actually. So, even we saw this in case of Kardamuni, right? So in third canto, Brahmaji told Kardamuni, create progeny. And what did Kardamuni said? Okay, I want to create, but I'll perform austerities first to get a suitable wife so that I can procreate. And he performed austerity was it 10,000 years? Yeah, 10,000 years, I think. 10,000 years Kardamuni did just to qualify, prepare himself to follow this instruction. So here also the Prachetas are performing this austerity to fulfill the instruction of their father.
So any reason why some they perform austerities and then some they just get married? Like Prachini father, he just got married, right? Because Prachini Bharati got married.
Yeah, Prachini Bharati.
Yeah,
father
so
of the Prachetas. Yes, I mean, see, like
double standards, right? Like, is there...
I wouldn't say double standards. The main point is, see, if you see how the Vedic system is, first there is Brahmacharya, then there is Grahasthashram. So, Grahasthashram is an ashram of responsibility. And one has to, hence the Vedic system, the proper Vedic system is that everyone is supposed to be trained in Brahmacharya ashram to control the senses, to perform austerities. and then one is actually ready to enter Grihastha ashram. So that is actually the Vedic system. That's the Vedic system. So the reason that it's not that some of them, here it's not mentioned about what Prachini Bhari did as an austerity, but we read about what was his austerity. He was doing yajnas all over. So even he was doing something. But Bhagavatam is specifically mentioning those austerities which has a point to continue the storyline.
Okay. Okay.
But anyone in the Vedic system before getting married, that is a phase of austerities. You are entering a very responsible, even the act of creation means we are bringing forth children. And one should make sure that children are actually qualified children. Otherwise, the whole society, there will be Varna Sanskar. What we read in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Arjun was worried that, if all these elderly people die, then there will be Varna Sanskar. Right? So, those who are in the Vedic tradition, they are very, very cautious that what kind of child am I really prepared to procreate? Now, these days, unfortunately, in the society, union between man and woman is just considered as like a plaything, and it's just like, just for fun, we'll do it. I mean, that's like really just like, procreation is such a sacred act, and the whole society has destroyed the sanctity of that union. So, a few thoughts there. It's okay?
Sure, thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, let's see the time, 9:40, right? Okay, let's just do one verse, because now, like we heard about Lord Shiva, now Vidura is going to ask, okay, tell me, I want to hear more. So, next two verses is basically a question that Vidura is going to ask, and then we'll hear the Maitreya Rishi describe how the Prachetas went to the austerities, why Lord Shiva came, how did the conversation take place. So, let's just read 16 and 17. Let's just do the English translations. Okay, Ratna, you want to do Sanskrit? Okay, let's go ahead.
Vidura uvacha prachetasam giritrena yatasid pati sangamaha yad utaha parapritas tano brahman vadhartavat.
So this is Brahman. Oh great Brahman, vada arthavat. Please speak with clear meaning. And what is he asking for? Translation?
Rohini Nandan Prabhu.
Okay, maybe anyone can go ahead.
Rajarshi Mataji.
I can go. Hare Krishna 4:24:16. Vidura asked Maitreya, my dear Brahmana, why did the Prachetas meet Lord Shiva on the way? Please tell me how the meeting happened, how Lord Shiva became very pleased with them, and how he instructed them. Certainly, such talks are important, and I wish that you please be merciful upon me and describe them. Hare Krishna.
So basically what we read, Vidura is curious to know, like, how they meet Lord Shiva? And you already said that Lord Shiva was pleased with them. Why was he pleased with them? And what did he instruct them? Right? And next continues the question, 17.
Sangama kalu viparshe shiveneha sharirinam durlabho munayo dhadyur asangadyam abhipsitam.
The great sage Vidura continued, O best of the Brahmanas, it is very difficult for living entities to engage within this material body to have personal contact with Lord Shiva. Even great sages who have no material attachments do not contact him, despite their always being absorbed in meditation to attain his personal contact.
So it's actually a very nice question that how did Prachetas meet Lord Shiva? And here particularly Vidura is saying those who are iha shariranam, those who are in this material body, for them to see Lord Shiva is durlabha. Can any one of us just say, okay, we'll meet Lord Shiva? No, we are not qualified. So how did Lord Shiva meet them? What was their qualification? Meeting Lord Shiva is so rare. Even great sages, Muneya, Dadyu, even great sages, they perform austerities for such a long time. They are unable to see Lord Shiva. How did the Prachetas meet Lord Shiva? Right? So purport we'll discuss next time. So basically these are the questions, and then 18 is basically, okay, so we'll continue next time. Right? Okay, so thank you all so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So next time we will start off with Rudra Gita. Very interesting section, like how Lord Shiva is going to speak to the prachetas and how he's going to give instructions to the prachetas. Okay, any comments or questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I like the point that the perfection of all meditation and the secret of success is just to meditate on the order of the spiritual master and then execute it. And also, Prabhuji, I was thinking about the point of discussion about Indra. Not only Indra, what is the takeaway lesson is here is that I am a conditioned soul. I do so many mistakes because of my previous habits, but Krishna overlooks them. He give me means to correct myself again and again, again and again. He's so merciful.
That's a nice point. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? The last points?
We should do Sankirtan Yagya all over the world.
We have to cover the whole globe with the Sankirtan Yagya. That's so book distribution, Harinam Sankirtan. These two, that is spread everywhere, every street, every corner. Right. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, bro. I like the point this not to read it like information, but for transformation. Like first we have to listen and then meditate and then refer and then talk about that to others. I like the point, bro. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very nice. Okay, anything else?
Prabhu, I also like the point a disciple should always meditate on the orders of the spiritual master. Not only just meditation, worship and execute it perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, that purport is so powerful.
Yeah, very nice purport.
Very powerful. You should think of the instructions, unhesitatingly think about the instructions. You should make it the life substance of the disciple, should not consider where I'm going. First business to execute the order, meditate on the order. This is perfectional meditation. Not only you should meditate, but we should also worship and execute the order.
Execute.
This is the secret of success.
Very nice purport.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, I also have a question. Probably, yeah, like in case of Prithu Maharaj and Archie, like by following the path of her husband, she also entered into the fire and they finally attained Vaikuntha. So what if, like in the regular cases, probably wife is not following the husband or they both are in the different boats, right? They both may not be in the same boat. Then once they attain the Vaikuntha Lokas, their soul's journey is independent. They serve the Lord separately. If they...
Yeah, I mean, it depends, right? I mean, it's very individual case.
Right. That's why it say like each soul's journey is independent. Is that correct, Prabhuji? Correct
I
understanding?
mean, like, see, this is a particular case where the wife is completely dedicated serving
The husband.
The husband is a pure devotee. Right? So the husband is a pure devotee and wife is completely serving the husband, then for sure, both will go back.
Right.
Now, if the husband is not a pure devotee, but the wife is just committed to service, then certainly she gets credit for serving her husband. Dedicating her life for service to her husband. Certainly that is there. And even a husband may not be the best of devotees, but she will get that credit, So it is very individual where the souls will go afterwards. Everyone has their own, like how Prabhupada says, like how, you see birds, when they fly in a formation, everyone has to flap their own wings. Right? So we all have to, like, what activities we do, we are responsible for that. Yes, there is some connection, husband and wife, the wife shares the pious credits from the husband, right? All those things are that connection is there, but finally, it is all our own journeys.
Yeah. And I like the example, like a train journey. We all temporarily stay together while traveling in the train, and when your destination comes, you have to say bye and leave the.
Yes.
I like that example, Prabhu. That's why, like, it's it's your journey, independent journey.
And we help each other in our spiritual journey, as much as we can, we help, we assist, we serve each other. But finally, at the end, it is finally our own destination. Okay, thank you so much. So we'll stop here. Shri Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhisya kripa sindhubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Thank you all so much for your association. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mataji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji and Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.